But, screw it. Let's roll. I had to censor myself there, because it's literally going. Luckily, I think if Lucky said something bad, I was talking over him. Honestly, I don't think YouTube's blasted us for having swears in the first 30 seconds in a while. Usually they put us on blast for other things. Though, it's funny. Side tangent. I booted this up because right now it's Halloween Day. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Spooky. But there's a discussion going on our traditional games channel, which does exist. People who post D&D memes in general.
Rude.
But talking about horror gaming, which is a really interesting subject. But, so I wanted to tune on the mics before I get too much into that conversation with people or with Lucky. Because that's a good topic to talk about that is relevant. Spooky gacha. We'll talk about gacha later. There's a lot of stuff going on. But I wanted to briefly tangent in that sub-story there and say, though, that there are some live Yu-Gi-Oh! Games I recorded where I don't know if it's just because of his Straya, but Loth cannot not... Hold on, let me double-check the time. All right, we're over a minute. Loth can't not say fuck in the first 30 seconds. Like, you start a game, Loth's fucking.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. I will read the patron read really quick so Lucky can crack his monster, because he hasn't done that yet.
I have thirst.
Because it's spooky energy. All right. So this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Adam DeHarp, Ahanga Comics, Architect 10, Blacklist OG, Carlos Quad, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Rogue Robin, Shiny P, some guy named Bob, Soda-san over 24723, and Zach Reed. And if you like what you want to see more, consider supporting on Patreon. You can get access to episodes early and really help us out. Thank you for supporting everybody.
Hey, you're dying too?
Yeah, I don't know. I got a scritchy today. Scratchy throat. But I coughed heavily off mic. Some of that will be edited out. They're not as edited out as Spooky Scary Skeletons was. Because they did put us on blast. And I actually did something different this time. I replaced the music. Usually I mute it, but I was like, nah, there's a second block there. So I just put some sick beats in there that YouTube was like, yo, you want some free music? I was like, sure, we'll do it. We'll see what happens. They also didn't like the thumbnail, as expected. That thumbnail was too powerful for even our Discord, so I went with our... I don't know if they'll let us have the original back, but I went ahead and did the alternate version where I covered up Carmilla's cleavage and, as Lucky requested, put a black bar over her eyes, which is funnier anyway, so if we don't get the original back, we'll keep that one. You can stare at the original version as you watch the episode.
Oh, God. I'm laughing.
The things we gotta do. Man, YouTube's been blasting us.
Hang on. I gotta go. I haven't actually looked at the episode. I gotta go see the thumbnail. I have to. Like, right meow.
Yeah, I don't know how long the snippet cut was. YouTube is not a precise tool.
Yeah, black bar. Best.
And I use the infamous whoops, can't show that in a Christian manga. Because I did submit an appeal where I was like, okay guys, yes, there are boobs in this thumbnail, but they are not the focus, okay? There's like a whole 50% of the image that is not that, and then there's other focal points, guys. Come on.
Mm-hmm. But
I hit him anyway because, as I've seen for some of our past episodes, I think not having a thumbnail makes YouTube be weird about them. Mm-hmm. That's long. That's a long clip if it cut over records. That's fine. Nobody cares, though. Well, actually, they might care slightly, but yeah, it seems like it was a little bit of a sloppy tool. That's okay. We'll remember that for next time. Though if that's the sensitive area, that's a little weird if it would extend on oversides. I don't know if that means if I would have muted it, if it also would have been bad. Anyway, you can view the original version on our Patreon in audio format for as little as $1 a month, so, hey. We're also Patreon accepted the uncensored thumbnail. Anywho's, we were gonna get started talking about horror gaming, because I think that's a really interesting topic.
Well, yeah, what do you mean when you talk about horror gaming?
Well, so that's the question, isn't it? Because this started with a talk about, can we go back to our regular heroic fantasy campaign instead of horror, and then it's spooky music stops. But just in general, that horror feel is really interesting to capture on the tabletop. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. And we've talked about this before, because you have your thoughts about this on your own subject. You've been working on a campaign idea for some time.
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting question to tackle. I was already talking about this in the actual channel in text, but I think that stuff like jump scares doesn't communicate, right? Like that's very hard to do. Like you can kind of do the surprise, like.
Well, that's all a jump scare is a surprise.
Yeah,
really.
But I think the jump scare requires multiple elements to really get the person, though. Like, usually there's a musical sting, there's the visual element, sometimes there's a loud sound, like, blah! Like,
Well,
you do
like,
a lot of stuff in the composition of the shot to get a very visual reaction. That's
like
harder to do at a tabletop.
Well, definitely in a tabletop, but like for example, playing Resident Evil 2 remake, I screamed twice. Once was because a fucking body fell on me. And second time is because I fell through a hole. Now I consider both of those jump scares because they were both sudden and completely took me out of what I was doing.
The body is definitely what I would call a classic jump scare.
Yeah.
The whole thing, I mean, I guess sudden falls can happen, but that's pitfalls. I feel like in games, whether they're traditional or otherwise, is definitely more of like a video games type jump scare. Like, oh, I was just minding my business. Ah, shit, fuck.
Oh yeah.
Like because you have that you have that control element. The fact that the game sometimes is like, ha ha, gotcha. Like that can trigger that surprise response. But yeah, in a tabletop scenario, I think the best you can do is you can get them. Honestly, the way this even works in some RPGs, like, oh, you open up that chest, it's a mimic, it's trying to eat you, and you're like, ah, shit, you know. You can surprise people, but I feel like because of even if you have like big HD whatever, you know, miniatures and tableaus of whatever, you will get people who are like, oh no, like they'll have that what's the right word? They'll have that like sympathetic reaction for their own characters.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the same. You rarely scare that person on the same level of a jump scare at a tabletop where they go, ah!
Like I said, a jump scare is literally involuntary.
Yeah, and it's hard to provoke that response when you're looking at little plastic men on a grid paper. You can get some people who are in character enough that they emote, they portray their characters, but it's not quite the same, right? Like that's when you know.
Honestly, honestly, you would have to do something else. You'd have to like play like a sudden soundbite or like have someone sneak up behind someone. You would need some sort of external factor. Honestly, that's way too complex.
Yeah, no, that's a thing. You don't need to worry with that. But I think there are other aspects that you can portray better. Survival horror is emulated just as well on the tabletop as in video games.
Definitely. Oh, definitely.
And survival horror also that's definitely, like, there are some kind of, like, existential thrillers or horror stories which kind of involve the gradual grinding down of resources, but that's all on the body of the author, so I don't think it's quite the same as what we think of as survival horror. Like, you can write a novel where the main character checks his gun and is like, I've got 5 bullets left, but as the author picks when he spends those 5 bullets, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're playing Resident Evil and you check your gun and you're like, shit, I've got 5 bullets left, and you have to decide how to spend them when you see 6 zombies.
Mm-hmm. Resource management is definitely...
God.
Resource management is definitely one of those things I think that gives a really good sense of dread. Because
you can, I think that's because you can, no matter what you're doing, you can look at what you got, right? And then you can do your own math, basically, which is where, this is a very Hitchcockian thing. A lot of horror and dread comes from your own mind grappling with problems, right? Forcing you to think about things that become uncomfortable.
Yes.
So you can make people think about uncomfortable story topics, or you can make people go, I've got 3 shotgun shells, and there's at least 4 zombos in here, so that's bad. That's really bad. What do I do when I run out of shotgun shells?
Mm-hmm.
Have I ever run? I actually have a couple of horror-themed games that are interesting. I have, probably not for you, I have run All Flesh Must Be Eaten, which is a zombie role-playing game, before. I did a Dead Island-inspired game with Ron, Kiana, and Marth once. I don't think I've ever run it for anybody, but I've seen it played a while. But I also have a copy of Slasher Flick, which is a role-playing game designed to emulate slasher films. Which it kind of handles in an interesting way, because it literally gives you spare characters, secondary characters, to kill off dramatically when the slasher shows up. And then basically the game has to wait where you have to either build up enough narrative energy so that once you've killed off enough characters, the slasher is vulnerable and you can basically take him out, slasher movie style, right?
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so the goal is to actually let enough minor characters get killed that your main characters can get all the clues they need or whatever, build up to actually like figuring out, how to take him out. Or just you're Jamie Lee Curtis, you're the final girl, Michael Myers shows up, you throw him out a window. Like, and it can be as simple as that, or it can be more complex and magical. But it's an interesting game.
Actually, I was about to say, like, for for horror, there's including scarcity of resources, another two things that usually get my goat when it gets to horror. It's either lack of information, which is another one. If something's happening and you don't know why it's happening or how it's happening, that gets to me.
That's one of those. Humans usually crave understanding on some level.
Yeah.
That's honestly why people get weird about some stuff, is because they have to create understanding for things, and it makes us come up with weird ideas.
And that's another one that you can actually easily translate to tabletop. Because going on with slasher flicks, usually there is some way to beat the big bad, but until you figure that out, they're just gonna run around doing whatever, killing your friends, and you're just like, oh no.
Yeah, and if you think about it, a lot of the classic slasher movies are just, this guy's just a big chungus. They're just big and have knowledge of the terrain, and you're scared and dark and have no idea what the fuck is happening, right? Like we said.
You have not compartmentalized this yet.
So, whether it's, desperation tactics or just you figure out because Axe brought up the Friday the 13th video game, you figure out to put on Jason's mom's sweater or whatever and freak him out. That's a very funny gift. I don't even know how they... Michael Myers is one of those weird guys where he's just a big, strong boy. Like, I think they try to make it supernatural in some of the sequels because there's 50 billion Halloween movies. But usually he's just a tough son of a gun.
Yeah. Well, that's like Jason 4. He's fucking... Chucky is literally just a black cat who got stuck in a doll.
Man, Chucky's... Child's Play's the first couple of those are really freaky movies. Ooh. I think they started to get ironic in later sequels, but...
Oh, they totally did.
The first couple were very, that's a little freaky. It's a little freaky. And you could totally do that with Slasher Flick, because the way that movie, the first Child's Play, is framed is, while you're, as the audience, you're pretty sure that it's the fucking creepy doll. The characters don't know it, and even then, the audience, you can't be 100% sure, because they don't actually show Chucky doing Chucky things for the first, half of the movie, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's another one of those classic setups where, is it like a creepy kid movie, or is it literally the doll? Is the doll doing it? The doll's doing it, isn't it? Fucking doll.
No, literally. No, we're gonna go a deep liver. It was actually the kid the entire time, and he's just projecting onto the doll.
Yeah, that's the edgy modern remake.
Yeah.
We make it all psychological, it's all in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Whoop. That's a retweet.
Yeah, but... like I was saying, yeah, those one of those things it's actually pretty easy to actually turn into tabletop, as, again, you have your clues, you sprinkle them around, but you always hold something back from the players, and you basically make them, as you said earlier, you basically make the players draw connections that may or may not be right or wrong. Usually the players will know that they don't know whether it's right or wrong, and they'll freak out a little bit. I've actually had this problem happen to me occasionally playing tabletop with you. Is you've actually commented on this, is I'll see a thing and I'll think it's a way bigger problem than it actually is, and overestimate it, and you're like, guys, it wasn't that big a deal, and I was like, well, I didn't know that.
Right. And sometimes when you do that as a GM, you have to be like, guys, calm down, it's okay, because
it's not okay.
You have certain expectations and setups and beats you're trying to hit, and while it can be interesting and even entertaining if your players are like, no, this is the real problem, you can be like, okay, all right, it's a real problem, sure, we'll go with this, while you're thinking about the real problems going in the background. But other times you're like, okay, guys, I don't want any to be freaked out later when the real problem, rears up and bites you in the ass because you weren't looking at it, you got focused on the other thing. This thing right here, it's okay, it's not a big deal, don't worry about it. And that's meta, but that can be one of the good things about tabletop role-playing, is that as the game master, I can turn to you, the player, and be like, narratively, I didn't plan for this to have that much focus. It's not really important to what I'm going for here. And sometimes, like you said, if you can still go, no, but it's important to me now, and I'm like, okay, fine. We can roll with that if it's interesting, but there's also able to kind of get these meta flags and be like, maybe don't spend so much time on the creepy doll. That's a red herring.
Yeah, red herrings are important, and I feel in horror too.
Well, yeah, you need false leads, either because they're actually false leads, or just because you need multiple redundancies. Because sometimes this is the beauty of player characters, and the beauty of game mastering is you only got one brain.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you get an editor for your campaigns, which is often why you probably see GMs talking to other GMs a lot. You've only got one mind for it, and honestly, that's why in a lot of cases I've turned to writing more open-ended stories where I'm like, okay, these things will probably happen, these beats will happen, these characters will appear, and they have these motivations. Is there a solution to this? I don't fucking know. I'm gonna rub player characters on it. They'll do something. Something will happen.
I feel like that mindset really exemplifies how. Oh god, what do you even want to call the recent arc? Well, I don't even want to call it an arc. It took us 5 sessions, but it was something really minor. Well, not minor, but
okay. The thing should have taken one less session. I admit this. I don't know if it was. I think it was session 1, but I was a little a couple of those sessions. I was a little low energy and tired. I think some others in the group were, and it was. I didn't push us to go longer. Whereas you can tell because we posted the raw, unedited video version. Which got the same amount of views and no complaints, so I don't know. If that wasn't too much of a pain in the ass for you, Lucky, we can do that again and see if it picks up any. I don't know. Some people might also be in the backlog. Like I said, nobody's complained at least, which is good. So, and check it out if you haven't. Like I said, I think I tried to give that some bump to some other viewers to see if they like it and didn't get much response, but I've tried that with a few things. Like I said, YouTube's being really weird to us this week. We got absolutely blasted on Lucky streaming RE2. We got hit with an age restriction and an ad and not suitable for ads or limited ads, which doesn't matter because full ad monetization doesn't run on 18 plus videos anyway. Thanks, YouTube. We still get your premium service and we have patrons and do get our super chat revenue, so that's good. But it won't continue to make any other monetization through selling ads or whatever. Not a huge deal, but it's a little sad that maybe that means people don't know that Lucky streamed RE2. Does it show up if people search it? I don't know. But we've had a lot of weird stuff. We talked a lot about last week about the episode I titled Existential Spring Cleaning about trying new things. I posted another Legion video because there was more news that got about half as many views, and I'm like, why though? I would have thought that this was the more exciting one because there was more buzz about this news article on the internet, and it's that's weird. Okay, it's probably not going to... I don't know if there will be more news for a while that I need to consider, about making more videos, but it's definitely something that when I look back on this, I'll think about. So it's maybe a little off, but you should check out the AP. So yeah, we can transition to talking maybe a little bit more about Star Wars at our tabletop. So...
Probably go back to horror. We'll probably...
The last episode in this series of episodes, arc, whatever you want to call it, is 5 hours long, raw. Yeah. Now, you may be surprised to find out. Let me double check. But I believe the audio is only 4 something. I've got the audio saved in the backups. That's the wrong folder. This is the right folder. So, the audio of 47 is, it's 4 hours and 12 minutes. However, several of the preceding episodes were shorter. When they were edited, they got under 2 hours. So I do think there was some of that, like I said, low energy that kind of... Mm-hmm. It was a slow ramp when it really didn't need to be. Because once we actually got into the meat of the topic, I would say you guys were very invested. And did your usual very methodical amounts of planning. And some of that was just, Lucky is our face and ended up with the brunt of the work. But that's also because of your solo challenge.
Yeah.
There were a couple of basically boss fights with limited number of players, which I do feel a little bit bad about, but also weren't required to be that way. Players could have done something, but God forbid either of the clones actually do anything in or out of character that would bother Lucky. But at the same time, I understand the pain of but we don't really want to rain on anybody's parade, so we don't have as much to do. And we did some side commentary. I offered opportunities for them to go do other stuff, but at times the players were content to just kind of sit back and go, guess we're watching. We're waiting to see if anything weird happens. And then something weird did happen, and everybody got to spring into action. But there was a little bit of a lot of big, long combats that kind of slowed down some of those later ones. But still, when you actually got to the climax, we rode that all the way to the end, and that was a 5-hour session, basically.
Yeah.
Which was a little long for us, but that involved, finalizing setup, doing the thing, doing the whole climax, which involved several fights, and then actually, Aftermath as well. Because I knew Aftermath wouldn't take a whole session, so I wanted to power through and make sure I could get to the writing the next section, which I have spent a decent amount of time this week doing. And actually, I need to go ahead and finish up stats. That's the only thing I got left. That's usually my last step, is to do stats for important NPCs. Which, if you're going to stream RE2 again after this, I might, instead of hopping in that, I might focus on writing some of those so I don't have to delay the game tomorrow.
Okay.
It shouldn't take me too long, but I do have some ideas. This is going to be interesting. But yeah, so what you were the player in that, and like I said, you were a driving force between some of those ideas. How do you think about that whole series of episodes that happened in a sequential fashion?
Well, like I said, I do feel like it was kind of slow, but I think that's how it is usually because, again, we don't know anything, so we're just all like, what the fuck do we do? Let's start, throwing darts at the fucking dartboard and going places, making checks, finding things. And, like, for a little while, I felt like we were going a little bit off course, but,
yeah, it was it's always interesting to be the GM and have all the pieces on the chessboard, basically, and then kind of see what you guys poke. Like, I think it was interesting, like, you guys probably started by picking at what was the least pressing and concerning to you guys personally as characters. Like, there were, as you guys found out later, there were quite a few threads going on there, and I tried to at least mention all of them, I think, at some point during the setup, though obviously I didn't necessarily overly focus on anything unless you guys were directly asking questions. But you guys picked on a black market and smuggling thread, which took up a big chunk of one of the sessions, and followed that one, and then kind of doubled down on it by accident. Like, I didn't want to telegraph too much, but you guys went to the smuggler shadow port, and then were just like, oh, this is just where they smuggle things to.
Yeah.
Can this help us find the actual thing? And I was like, yes, it can. It'll let you narrow down your clues. But that was kind of interesting because you guys came at that from an angle I wasn't necessarily expecting. It was obviously possible, but it was a little bit different. Like, I was actually expecting you to, when you heard something, I was expecting you guys to hit up Lopak immediately, and he would be able to dump a lot more info on you as an info broker, and kind of suggest all of the angles at once, and then you guys probably would have picked on the Iron Cage from the start, because that would probably have sounded the most concerning.
Yeah.
Instead, you guys kind of grabbed one of the threads and did chase it all the way up to the leader, and you didn't press her about any more details about their business. Just kind of laid out the rules, and then basically kept pulling on that thread until you'd pulled all the thread out and used those bits to find the other threads. And then from there, kind of stuck to your investigation guns. And like I said, there were some long fights that kind of delayed things, some of which were random. Like, there was a certain amount of uncertainty and player choice in there. But I think that really helped you guys build up your knowledge of the situation and decide what you wanted to do about it, though. Like, that first session, once you'd actually, which is like session 3 or 4, I think, unfortunately. But the session you guys actually go to the Iron Cage and actually look at the underground fight arena. I can say spoilers, all these episodes are up. We're caught up right now.
Yeah.
That really, there was a big chunk, like I think the first hour of that episode is spent just building up what this place is like, what goes on here, what you can expect, and kind of, I feel like the growing discontent of the player characters, and possibly the players, as to what's going on here. Like, you guys kind of started with neutral opinions, and it was very much kind of like, no, I don't think I like this place. Oh, no, I don't like this place at all.
Yeah. Well, like, speaking from, because this is like this is one of those things that you talked about. It's like this basically module was basically the consequences of our actions previously.
Yeah, kind of. Like, I was inspired by the fact that you guys had done stuff previously, and like, oh, okay, all right. Well, you guys you've created different power vacuums, but also you've disincentivized certain activities. So, what would happen then? What would go on in this place? So, as I mentioned, the big thing was that there was an uptick in blood sports because you guys have put more money into an area, so they have more money to spend, and have encouraged a certain amount of patriotic fervor, basically. But you have discouraged other activities such as slavery, human smuggling, rampant recreational narcotics. Like, there was a certain amount of narcotic smuggling, but mostly it was like illegal stimulants and stuff. Combat drugs, basically.
Drugs.
Which is That's one of those weird things. I don't know who started that. Probably like Rifts or Shadowrun or somebody in the like vaguely modern or sci-fi, maybe even Cyberpunk 2020. Like the idea that you can do drugs for combat enhancement, because there are some illegal narcotics and pharmaceuticals which actually like, dull your sense of pain and whatnot, but it's not the same way that like Fallout treats like taking a hit of a Psycho or Jet, right?
It's like I said, it's like, okay, we need disposable items that give fucking boosts in combat, so we can make players spend resources.
Mm-hmm. But we don't want players to just abuse them, so we make them drugs.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, so there were a lot of stimulants in there.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, I don't think the group particularly objected to. It was just the context of their use.
Yeah.
Like, you guys were like, hey, if some dude wants to get high on Gunjack Spice and, like, punch a punching bag, that's his problem.
But if he wants to take, like, speedball 3 of them and then go fight, like, 6 dudes to the death, I'm like, no.
Yeah. So that was kind of the emphasis of, and I even, some of the names, Iron Cage, Red Stripe, there was a lot of, like, kind of wild underground, almost feral imagery there. Staging fights between people and animals kind of stuff. I did try to make this, like, suggest the idea of a tactical risk as well, like with the fact that they were scavenging separatist shit and repurposing it, and you guys were kind of like, don't know about that one. I think that gave some people some minor alarm, but you guys were already invested by the time that came up.
Yeah. But let's see here. So, I'm trying to think of any big thoughts I really had about that.
Well, I'll ask you, did you have fun?
Oh, I definitely had fun.
Okay, I would hope you did, because you very much took center stage in this arc. Literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Though, I also think that Marth's new character, Wevu, really got to show her chops and what she's about a lot more, too.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
Hello, Jedi friend I've known for like 2 weeks. Yes, I will climb into a blood sports arena with you. I will take a horrific Vibarax shot to the back.
Yeah, that was a little oof.
Hey, you gotta give as good as you get, and I got pretty hard most of the time by you guys.
Yeah, It's just one of those things we're looking at Vibarax and we're just like, oh. I will definitely say this is me like being like I can admit I enjoy having the spotlight. I like to be up front. I like to do cool things. I like to get noticed for said things. I'll usually, like, out of character, that's usually how I direct my actions, because I'm gonna do something cool and I'm gonna do something shiny. I don't always necessarily make my plans with necessarily other characters in mind. Because, well, this is like one of those rules of GMs. Like, you never, like, unless I go, hey guys, this is what I want you to do exactly.
And we've definitely seen this issue.
Yeah.
With all the other players, has definitely been a problem where, because of the natural setup of the campaign, for the longest time, Lucky's character was the highest ranking character in a vaguely military game. Obviously, we've never been super strict about that, and I don't think anybody needs to be. Like, if you watch the Clone Wars cartoon, fucking Rex is standing right there with Anakin Skywalker chewing the shit, you know. Anakin defies command convention and jumps out of the fucking ship, and Rex just goes, I hate it when he does that. All right, let's go. Follow him in. Follow the lunatic commander in. The absolute mad lad. But there have definitely been times where the other players were not great at improv.
No.
And to be fair, I don't think they, in or out of character, expected necessarily to be improving, but it definitely kind of solidifies the, like, okay, well, what do we do about this? Because character lessons are learned in character by characters, as well as out of character. Yes. So if you guys kind of not even, like, I think not even, like, honestly, Camo has made sense from the beginning. We've really focused on how he's very mission-oriented, goal-oriented, structured. Like, Camo's not afraid, because he's an arc, to go into the woods and do some work. And it hasn't happened a whole lot, but there have been times when we've basically gone, okay, Camo, go do the thing. And, like, both as a player, Axe, and as a character, Camo are perfectly capable of doing it. I don't know if I don't want to speak for Axe and say he's comfortable doing it, but he's capable of it. You are capable. The way Loth plays Boots sometimes as just like, hello, I am Mr. Generic Cloneman. I will heal. Oh, is nobody injured? Shit, I guess I shoot him. Like, Like, if his gimmick doesn't come up, which he grew into this as his character gimmick, there are very much times where Loth is just like, shit, I guess I just shoot him with my gun. That's what I'm good at. Which has occasionally bitten him and or us in the butt. Now, on the other hand, love his role-playing. Like, he picked up a vibroax and accidentally vibroaxed a guy very hard and immediately regretted it. And he was just and, you know, then immediately, as a role-playing, like, dropped the weapon and tried to save that guy's life, which he did pull off. He got his gear back and actually saved a guy's life after he put an axe in his chest. But that's a good role-playing moment. That was, you know, that was all improv. That was all just he realized what happened and was like, ooh, that's bad.
That's no good.
But yeah, like you said, there's definitely been moments where improv has not been forthcoming. And I think this is a big reason why Marth switched characters was, with Kavus, I don't think he really knew what Kavus was about besides jumping into battle and lightsabering a lot of dudes.
Yeah.
Like, that was the issue he had playing Kavus, was when Kavus was not hitting people with lightsabers, Kavus didn't have a character arc. Like, there were attempts to kind of do stuff for him, and you're even seeing some of the remnants, like, because I know Kavus has been interested in animals, or Marth as Kavus. That's why there was a little bit of that animal cruelty aspect. Like, I thought of these things long before Marth decided to switch. So, like, there was, you know, maybe if Kavus was here, he would have taken an interest in, like, rescued an animal or whatever. But the blood sports focus worked out perfectly well for Wevu, and that kind of, like I said, really got to show off how she was in terms of both, like, fight, you know, kind of her insistence on fighting guys fairly, and then when they don't fight fairly, like, she goes serious, goes ham. You know, kind of the honorable opponent kind of thing. And really got a chance to shine, which is kind of what we wanted out of this.
Yeah.
Like, I think you even, both in and out of character specifically, was like, oh, wait, Wevu wants to fight too. Can I get a double in here?
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, that can be arranged. Because obviously I went, you know... That's been kind of a running joke for the past couple of sessions where, other than the one time Wevu also ended a fight immediately by drawing her big scary tractor beam gun. That was very funny. Wevu hasn't really got a chance to do a lot either because Marth usually prefers to let everybody else go and then kind of see what's at in the conflict and go last. Which is really interesting because I think he actually brought up, he gave Wevu a couple ranks of quick strike, so actually she has incentive to act first. I wonder if that will maybe change people's behaviors in combat. Because now we have two characters with quick strike, so it'll be interesting to see. Because I know that's usually why, when possible, we let... Well, okay, it's been a while since we've had to do it that way, but usually, for a long time, the system was Aramagos first to pop battle meditation, if possible, right? Buff everybody. Then, usually, if there was a slot before NPCs, or if there was only one PC slot before NPCs, aka all the time, Kama would go first to drop somebody because he has quick strikes and is focused on, you know, eliminating threats fast. And then it would kind of filter out to the two where Marth and Loth would not quite fight, but basically have a politeness competition to go last. Like, the only direct incentive for Boots going earlier was if you or whichever character Marth was playing at the time would jump into melee, which would complicate because Boots is not good at melee. And firing into a melee with your allies is rough. Both in and out of character. We've already had one conversation about shooting in the back. It's funny every time it happens, though. Everybody goes, it's one upgrade, nothing will happen. Oh, I've rolled a despair. I've shot my friend in the back. We've seen that happen several times over several campaigns. It's a big funny moment every time. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the next one. The next arc, because that's got, I don't want to say how many, but it's got a couple different through lines that kind of interweave. And in this case, it's very much a thing where, like, if you guys don't pick up or decide you're not interested in one of these different plots, you know, an A plot or B plot or C plot or whatever, you guys can just drop it and be like, we'll move on. And I can turn that into a different thing down the line. Though hopefully everything should turn out decently integrated. Because I want to show off a few different things, and I've got a few different ideas in regions and kind of do some different stuff, and I kind of want to try this kind of interweaving of problems. Because we talked about red herrings and tension building and stuff. And also, I've realized, especially with the way things are getting in our EXP levels and whatnot, having a B plot's not a bad idea. Because you never know when the dice are going to get weird, and you guys will accidentally slurp all the tension out of a scene and solve your A problem immediately. And then there's other times you guys get into like a knockdown drag out. Like I think the actual boss fight was pretty evenly matched for a while, until you broke everything about your opponent.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I will say that's kind of intentional. I've been trying to build Arba, who's someone who can lay down debuffs and whatnot. It's just as a weird circumstance, she just got really fucking good at punching. I'm just like,
Yeah, but and you got a double triumph, and there were some interesting results. So, like,
Yeah.
you just picked that guy apart, which led to kind of an interesting case where after you maimed his arm, you didn't punch his arm off because that would have been weird, but you severely damaged it.
Mhm.
You broke his weapon, so he was attacking you barehanded, well, with claws, because he was a tiger man, but still. And basically, you hit him with a couple of crits, pretty severely debuffed him. You hadn't taken any harm at all.
Nope.
You were running heavy on strain, and like there was a very real risk that you would just pass out, but
Oh yeah, no, I had the agita.
you were unharmed. You basically freaked him out so much that he decided to bail because he was a criminal. Like honestly, if you guys had just traded blows, you probably still would have won, and that probably would have gone out a lot more cleaner. But it was an interesting case where just some of the times the dice selection just got to us. Like I think the maimed result wasn't even intentional. You were like, I don't really want to take the strain to pick a crit. Roll it for me, and maimed. Well, that's a bummer.
Well, yeah, I think it was because I think the Chronicles have vicious too, and I think he had like 2 crits on him, so it was plus 40. I'm just like,
Yeah, it was a big one, and then we rolled high.
It was like we're like, oh, no.
And then like the double triumph, the super rare double triumph, where you were just like, I can just break his weapons. I'll just punch his gloves apart. And I tried to like make that do something to hurt you, but it didn't work. So it was like, okay, all right. Well, so basically, this guy's existentially terrified right now, and he's gonna run away.
Did not work.
No, it didn't work for several reasons, but it drew out the tension because you were really very much like, man, I really don't want to let this guy get away. You even said to yourself later, man, I did a dumb thing by jumping down this hole. I could have literally rappelled down. But that's how much you didn't want that guy to get away. You did the thing you do in an action movie where you jump down and then you do your 3-point landing. You're just like, okay, I'm fine. It's fine.
Oh yeah, definitely. But like I'm cycling that back down. Like I said, like the tension got to me. Like I said, like
no, I think that was a good moment of like double-sided tension. Like for not usually that as the GM I get super tense, but like as the characters I'm portraying, I'm like, this is a high tension situation. Something's got to break here, right? Like this has clearly reached a breaking point. That's when I switched things up. So it was like they went from a really high tension moment to then you guys kind of pivoted to a high tension moment because you especially had already spent some resources. Whoever was pretty badly beat up, like she'd actually taken in her fight, she took a lot more wounds and took a critical injury.
Yes.
So, like, that was a much more evenly matched fight, and kind of did the back and forth. So, the tension kind of flipped, especially as our other characters kind of, like, got to jump into action and do some stuff. And it kept the tension, and even then I was able to kind of, like, we let it relax a little, and then it spiked again, because we had a funny, kind of a funny moment of the hostage, the quote-unquote hostage negotiation.
Yeah.
Because metatextually, I planted the idea several weeks ago, I think a month ago at this point now, where I was like, somebody asked, are there any thermal detonators here? Those are cool. What do those even do? And I just rattle off the stat line, and I was like, nobody asked why I know the stats of a thermal detonator off my head. That's because I knew when I wrote this, that guy would have a thermal detonator for this purpose. And I'm glad I did get to come up, and then you guys managed to resolve that one pretty good.
Textbook.
And that let, Camo kind of do a lot of his focus, because he had done a lot of standing around waiting. And then, like we said, Boots got to heal some people. And also just got to clown around, which is half of the reason I assume Loth is here. Or at least that's how Boots has become. We've kind of talked about that, how he became the team jokester.
That's just Loth, honestly.
Especially probably. Like he can definitely be more serious, and we've had more reasoned moments, but just the tension break aspect comes naturally to Loth, and that just kind of bled into Boots, I think.
Yeah, no, that's standard Loth, is the jokester. Default setting. Excuse me.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm interested to see what will come up, because this one will it'll be interesting to see. Like, I think a lot of your faciness will come into it, talking to people and understanding people.
Okay.
Like, there'll be some people to talk to, but there's definitely a higher level focus on other aspects, which may be other characters. Like, there will likely be some kind of vehicular elements, whether that's flying, driving, racing, something like that. Like, I'm pretty sure the way you will solve this one will involve, getting into a vehicle chase or flying fighters against somebody or something.
Gotta go fast.
Yeah. Or even just Arma commands Sierra Mobile and does donuts, Like, I don't actually know 100% how you're gonna shake it out, like I said, but it'll be interesting to see. And we can even bring back, like, there should hopefully be opportunities for everybody to do their thing, but I definitely feel like parts of this are going to appeal to themes in Wevu's character and Camo's characters especially.
Well, that's good.
And some of that will just be because you're going up into the hinterlands, so it may be an opportunity for Camo to do his in a woods thing again, which it's been a while. It's been a while since you went into the wilderness and have gone, Camo, I'm lost, where do we go? Like, I don't know. I think Wevu's picked up some astrogation, but I don't think anybody else has any decent survival. Like, maybe other characters have, like, a 1 pip.
I have none. Arma has none. I can tell you that off the top of my head.
No, that makes sense. Like, Arma's not exactly, like, some kind of, like, especially now, you are definitely not some kind of, like, clean-cut, upper-class city girl by any means, but Arma is you're honestly much more embodying the Jedi warrior monk thing lately. Like, you are doing esoteric studies, you are doing self-improvement through physical fitness, like, amplifying body and mind kind of shit, mind is a weapon, body is a weapon type stuff, but you are not necessarily a wilderness person, and nor are you necessarily a vehicular combatant.
No.
But you are a good face.
I've actually been thinking about that. This is actually a question that, I think I asked at the last session, is, like, if we still have the technology to build holocrons. Because if we're gonna talk, I'm gonna toot my horn about Arma a little bit here. Arma has, does some, top percent damage and whatnot. And the thing that I always think about is usually when, like I think she has a 4 in Brawl and 4 in Brawn. Usually the max rank in any skill is 5. And so you basically consider 5 as a master of a skill, like 1's a novice, 2's trained, 3 is exceptional, 4 is, peak, 5 is, what's the word? Unmatched. And so it's like, if I'm about to hit that level in, like, brawling, that's something small. That's nothing small. I think some people look at, their character stats, they're just like, oh yeah, this means I hit real goo.
No, but that's the cap, though. Like, you can't get any better. Yeah,
that means in the, what's the word I want to...
Gosh, I don't remember the way they phrased it, but Eclipse Phase had really good charts for this because it's percentile based, where, like, if you were at 90% in a skill, you were, like, top 100 or top 10 people in the whole solar system at this skill.
Yeah.
So, like, if you were, whether it was a knowledge skill, like, if you were, like, academics, quantum physics, you are one of the best quantum physicists in the solar system. Or if it was just guns, like, you are one of the best shots out where. So, yeah, no, max cap without cybernetics is a lot.
It's a lot, and just one of those things, because you're talking about aesthetics months, it's like, Arma's like, I'm starting to feel like Arma probably shouldn't need to write, she needs to put a name to her way of life here. And, maybe write it down for the future.
Where it will definitely not come back as a plot coupon.
And so Arma has decided to write the path of the open hand to closed fist. It's super long. It's basically I haven't actually thought too much, but it's basically you must always offer your open hand, but if they do not take that hand, you must close it into a fist.
Yeah,
which
has some real world touchdowns. Open fist versus closed fist. That's basically like soft martial arts versus hard martial arts.
Yep,
and like has a lot of philosophical elements. But also has honestly some I would say connections to the Jedi. Like they have hypothetical conversations about this stuff. In the old expanded universe, there was a concept of lightsaber form 0, which is the philosophical question of when to draw your lightsaber. Like, when it's appropriate to use the lightsaber, whether it's to save or to kill.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of talk about that. So this would be very interesting. Now, the interesting thing is, I'm looking at the holocron rules. Mm-hmm. Holocrons have 2 skills as career skills when you do it, so I would wonder what your second would be.
It would either probably be charm or negotiation.
That would be very interesting to see, yeah. And then if I ever do a follow-up campaign, which is just Fallen Order, guys, I do want to talk about the new season of The Mandalorian sometime, but we got a good flow here. But I would not run it right away, because that's not what I do, right? We don't double down and jump right into another campaign, except when we do. But usually that doesn't work.
Well, we don't do usually the same game. We usually let's play something different. We're like, all right.
But yeah, like there were a couple times when we bounced from Star Wars concept to Star Wars concept. Those games kind of petered out early, I think, because we tried to keep the Star Wars flow going too much.
Yeah.
But I have an idea basically for each of the 3 game lines. Like, I would still love, this is one of my personal dreams, to run a straight up Age of Rebellion Starfighter campaign. Like, focus it on Starfighter combats, Starfighter missions, mix it up with ground stuff, whether that's like recon, sabotage, other kind of stuff, heavily inspired by classic Rogue Squadron and Wraith Squadron novels, comics, etc. And just kind of like work with all that, build up your quirky squad, talk about people, kind of build this kind of rolling campaign feel. I would want to do an actual True Blue Force and Destiny campaign, which is very much just going to be Fallen Order inspired, actually like uncovering old shit, and maybe have some callbacks to some other games in it. And then, this isn't really an old one, but watching The Mandalorian again is definitely like, no, this is a good feel for an Edge of the Empire kind of campaign, kind of like in that nebulous post-Imperial breakdown, after Return of the Jedi feel, where people are just trying to live their lives, and it's really weird, and they're kind of happy, but still kind of shit's going on. Mm-hmm. And I'll talk about it later, but there's some really interesting things that happen in the first episode of the new season. But yeah, like, that could definitely be like a, characters creating holocrons is definitely like a good leave behind kind of thing to key into later.
Yeah, but like I said, I think we're almost past the point of our other big Star Wars campaign. So
yeah, just about.
Yeah, just about. And honestly, I don't know how much longer we're gonna go with this one. Like,
I'm starting to think this is getting pretty, for character arcs and stuff. I'm starting to think we're getting decent amounts of tied up. I have like a decent knowledge of big beats I want to hit, and obviously sometimes I get inspired to stuff.
Yeah,
but it will depend on how long it goes. And honestly, I think I might try to. That means I have to do more writing, but I might try to write shorter plots. Because with this one, Fire Canyon is what it's called, just because I like cool names. Like that kind of got inspired by a lot of little things to kind of bring out some ideas and hit up some interesting like themes and some stuff we either haven't hit on in a while, right? A return to form, or even some concepts we haven't hit at all, or like had characters try to shine at. Because, like I said, is Webu Starfighter Ace already? I think she might be. If not, that's on Marth's plans. Like, Martha's literally built this character to be good at vehicle stuff. So that's another thing we're like, okay, now that we've got a character who's supposed to be good at, we definitely need to circle back around this and hopefully do better than the last time we did that. Which was a little awkward.
A little awkward.
Should have had a little bit more pre-prep.
Honestly, though, think about that Starfighter. Now that I watched you play Squadron, I definitely want to be the person in like the supply ship who's just in the background. It's like, I'm gonna fix your shit.
Yeah, you can do stuff with that.
I can do stuff with that. But like, again, like, speaking of like tabletops and stuff, like, I'm lucky when it comes to tabletops. I'm usually fine playing whatever. I can go basically as long as short as everyone else can. But I'm starting to see the signs of the slight peter. So I don't know if there'll be a resurgence or we'll just slowly dwindle down, because the mayhem campaign, it didn't go out with a bang. It just went out with I think there's like some scheduling issues and we just kind of lost the flow and energy.
Yeah, we lost the flow and didn't want to get back into it.
Yeah. So
I mean, technically it was in the middle of something, but it was the middle of a pre-gen I wanted to do, because I was thinking about where we go next. But I mean, we did have a decent kind of we had a couple of really good arcs before that. But yeah, Mayhem was definitely not written with a climax. It was just going until it goes.
Yeah.
Now, the Clone Wars game is interesting because I have an idea for a level of an ending.
Mhm.
Like, I think I know what kind of conflict levels we're going to have and what kind of elements we're going to introduce.
Mhm.
But interestingly enough, because there have been other plots I want to do, like, I'm not fully set up on that. So there's still another couple bits of things I want to get out of the way to set up everything. And some of that's got to do with, like, letting you guys pick your own where you want to go, obviously, and not just doing a directly focused campaign where it's just like, the plot hook led you to the next thing and leads you to the next thing, etc. And actually, I don't know, now that I'm even thinking about it, now that I'm talking this out, I might actually be able to combine a couple of ideas into another thread that all goes the same place. But yeah, like, I think there may be only one more round of missions before we do a climax. That said, that's after we've done all the ideas I have now. That said, that's still probably like another couple months minimum of playing, just because the way things get out there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Maths. And we'll have to see how long like this takes and how long other stuff takes. And obviously, like, while I have ideas, because I haven't written them yet, I'm not, like, committed to doing them. So if we go through another round and just, like, people are like, man, I'm not really feeling Clone Wars anymore, I could be like, oh, okay, that's sad, but that's if the players don't feel it, the players don't feel it. Not that I don't know if we're actually hitting that point. Like, Marth refreshed his character to avoid some of that kind of lack of tactileness.
I don't know, maybe I'll bring it up with Loth and Axe before next game. How they feel.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, this is one of those things where I can't actually weigh in either way, because I'm fine if we go and I'm fine if we don't. Just literally. As long as we have another game in the lineup, I'm good to go.
And I will say, as GM, I am not burnt out. Like, I have not run out of energy. I actually know the rough idea of where this is going. And I know the bits, the important bits I want to get out of the way. Like, I had thoughts about maybe going to, like, other places after Soho Live and whatever. I'm like, no. I think I got the way this should end on multiple levels and, like, where the final confrontations and stuff are. And kind of how to do them. And just, I need to, take some more inspiration cues from you guys and then just kind of tighten up the bits. And honestly, like, especially if I was writing this as, like, a TV show or a book or something, there were some bits we could have cut out, some arcs, but I really liked the concepts, and it helped us build a lot of character. Like, honestly, even this one, though it ran long, and I think all of us would argue ran too long, just because of the way things happened, you know? That is just how it kind of goes out. So that, like, could have been reduced down, but I think this arc had good moments and good build-up, and what would you say? Like a lot of the crime stuff was not necessarily necessary?
Yeah.
I would say, but it really... Well, one, we've gotten a lot of jokes out of it. We've crafted a lot of our internal through line about it, as Arama handles crime. But also it's introduced a lot of characters, it's set up a lot of stuff for future and stuff that will be important, I think. And it at the very least, it's made a couple of good breaks to, like, break stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
Well, also, I don't know exactly where X got it from. Like, definitely the idea was that you would be fighting for this mudball planet that nobody likes. Not even the people here. That was a very strong theme for the first couple of arcs. Was that Soholiv is kind of shitty and nobody likes it here. And then kind of where you guys as a group, out of character, and I think in character, at least for Arama, kind of started was, like, trying to make this better for them kind of thing. Like, make it more tolerable, at least. There were times, though, that I do want to say before we get into that, I want to say there were times, though, when I suggested the idea that I was open to, if somehow Soholiv got resolved fast enough, I could go to different planets. But that was never a confirmed thing.
Speaking of the Soholiv thing, though, I think it was a couple sessions in after we've had a few instances how people just fucking hate this place. Like, to the point where, you know, people are falling into debt, like, people are taking advantage. Armand basically got the idea, like, I can't stay here forever, but I'm gonna definitely leave this place better than when I got here.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I think is a noble aspiration.
And that really, I think, changed your character direction a lot. That's when we redesigned your duty around that. It made more sense with some of your... Because you had a different morality for a while that you fixed. I don't remember when we got that fixed, or if it was before that. But, like, that kind of helped you as a character refocus, and definitely, I think, refocused a lot of the group's effort, and made a lot of plot lines make sense, and work for just this stuff. And honestly, you know, maybe we'll see some different angles of that in the upcoming material I've written.
Ooh.
like thinking about like how people handle Soholiv, and like honestly, to pre-prep the little, like, there will definitely be a question act of like, okay, you guys have done a shitload in the capital, more Iridu and the science base. What have you guys done for people way the fuck over there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and the question is kind of not a lot. So some of those people are still dealing with normal Soholiv problems and or war problems. And I'll be interested to see if you guys have any commentary about that in and out of character. Like, and I will say, I'm not planning a scathing damnation like, how dare you not help everybody? That would be silly. I don't think you guys have that would require to have characters in the narrative give a pushback would require you guys to have done like a lot more to something, right?
Yeah.
Which is not quite that. Like, honestly, the only reason why you've done so much for more Iridu is because it was a risk. I presented it as a potential place where bad stuff could happen. And you guys were like, no, this is a big population center. It's right on our front doorstep. Strategically, we can't have anything bad here. And then when you guys were poking around, you're like, this place could use some improvements in general. This is a fixer-upper.
I was like, this is where the stuff's happening.
And honestly, there were times where you tried to help other people, and that, like I said, that kind of got pushed out of focus because of other stuff. Like, it was a minor plot thread. It was supposed to just be almost like a red herring thing. But you guys really wanted to get into it with, do you guys remember when you went up north to the Bandogora's plantation? The governor of that city was poisoned?
Oh, yeah.
That really didn't go anywhere, right? That was just, I was just trying to use procedural generators to think of some details, and I saw this, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I could probably work that in as a minor thing. The Bandogora used poison, right? I could kind of, like, distract you guys, and it kind of worked, but there was a little bit of a theme of, like, I think you guys were like, man, actually, I don't even know. It's in the recording. You might have even said this, like, where you as Arma were like, if we didn't have our Bandagora problem right now, I'd stick around and figure out what the fuck is happening here, but I have to recontextualize. I have a bigger fish to fry.
I think I probably said something like that.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the effect of it, was like, I don't like what's happening here, but I've got a bigger problem. I need to go punch crabs. Excuse me, goodbye. Because that was one of those, that was another, like, lingering minor plot point of just, like, oh, that'll be a thing that if they want to get some fights in and want to, like, talk to people, they can endear themselves to the local by punching crabs.
Oh yeah, that's right. We tried to fix things that we could fix quickly, but then move on. And that was punch crabs at the quarry and heal the mayor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, heal him. You fixed his poisoning, but you didn't investigate further.
Yeah. Because
like I said, I kind of figured, I think I had my own ideas about what had happened, and it may or may not have actually been related. I could probably check my notes, because I think I still got those. But it, like I said, wasn't a big deal in the narrative. If it was actually a Bandogora problem, it was solved by punching their face in. And if it wasn't, it was honestly not that big of a deal for you guys as characters. Now that I think anybody in the squad would be okay with some rando getting poisoned, but it was definitely not like, you know, when like the last week you had a biological weapon or chemical weapons threat on your capital, and, you know, you're hunting down rogue cult assassins trying to murder you. Like, priorities, guys, priorities. Priorities in general are a weird thing for player characters. And honestly, that can be part of why horror can be so hard, if we do want to cycle back to that a little bit. Because you have to deal with player character priorities.
Oh, yeah. No, like, to bring this up, I know I've said this many times, like, me and, like, priorities with, like, horror games, is usually finding out what the fuck's happening and destroying whatever the fuck is fucking with me. Not getting away from it, destroying it. If you only run away from it, it's just gonna keep fucking chasing you. It's why I have fucking so many problems with playing. I don't even know what the kind of style of game they called are, because they're not survival horror. They're not action horror. They're just horror, I guess. You know the ones I'm talking about. It's where you are this wee baby child. No, you're not actually a wee baby child.
Well, yeah, you're talking about Amnesias and Outlasts, you know, helplessness simulators that get called a lot as video games.
Yeah, and because helplessness is one of those primal fears, you actually see a lot of that coin termed in sanity systems. What is it? Honestly,
is I think a lot better. Like the death spiral idea, right? The fact that things get worse and keep getting worse. That's a lot better way to portray that kind of thing. It's like with Call of Cthulhu, you think to yourself, oh, I can't do. Well, you can do some things, but in the short term, you can't do anything about the fact that just running into the spooky thing hurts your sanity. You can still do stuff, but you know that it's going to cost you, and eventually it's going to catch up to you. which is a lot better than, like you said, being literally helpless. It's why I would never run what's called a purist game, where just like literally nothing you do matters. The only purpose of the story is that you look at the color from out of space and it melts your brain, it turns you Gurple, and you die.
Yeah, see, that's like, to me, true helplessness is when you still have agency and it's not effective.
The fake helplessness is just frustrating.
This is why Resident Evil 2 is giving me the agita, because I have a gun. I can unload on zombies all I want, but I know that these zombies are fucking meat sacks, and they'll just keep taking hits, and if I don't take care to, board up windows and stuff, they'll just keep coming in. So me, continuously using my ammo is not the greatest thing, so I have to find other ways around them, which usually means I shoot them once in the head to stagger them and run. See, I feel helpless because I'm like, I have this problem here and I can't do anything about it. And if I try to, I'm just going to waste my resources.
Yeah, it's not complete helplessness, but it's because that would be forced, because people are very rarely completely helpless. But it's got just enough of the resource management survival helplessness feature that you're like, man, this is maybe not spooky, but this, like you said, gives you the agita. This agitates you. I am a little anxious here.
Actually, what were the other three? It was violence, helplessness, and what were the other two? I know there's 4.
Ooh, unknown is usually one of those categories, but that's usually in games. That's the spooky category.
Yeah, that's usually the mindfuck stuff. But I can still say it applies. Like, we were talking about this eater. When you have a lack of information, it fucking gets to you.
What was the
other?
Several games with sanity aspects.
They usually the same 4 too.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's probably like a psychological concept that games have fleshed out. Where is
violence, helplessness, unknown, and something else? What the fuck?
Here is Eclipse Phase 2nd Edition. I know they switched to that format for sanity, because the first edition of Eclipse Phase's sanity system was the stress system, I think, was very cut and dried, and some people were like, this wasn't necessarily detailed enough. I will say this, that is a slight issue with sanity systems when you're not dealing with explicitly supernatural stuff, where, that's not actually how, quote-unquote, going crazy works. At least with EP, it had the idea of, okay, stress spirals into trauma, and if you are traumatized too much, you just stop functioning, because that is what happens to people. Okay, hold on. Mechanics, characters... Sorry, the EP 2nd Edition PDF is very fat.
I'm looking at Nemesis, because I know it's in there, too.
Yeah, they got the same thing, though they might only have 3.
They might only have 3. Wait, does this have a table of contents? It does not.
Does it have a table? Well, it's like a free 50-page PDF, so... Movement...
Actually, hang on. Let me go to the table of contents, like someone who has a brain. The madness meter, let's see here. 18. The gauges... self.
Yeah, okay, there it is, self.
Yeah, this gauge deals with internal conflicts, especially guilt, commit a crime, injure someone you love, lie to your best friend. This is all covered by the self gauge. So, internal damage to yourself, I get.
Yeah, things that go against your...
I don't know if you can... Well, I can say that self can be used as a tool in horror. I mean, look at Silent Hill 2. It's literally an entire scenario about this dude who can't understand what the fuck has happened to him and why.
I think EP might use a better name for it. They use alienation. So it's alienation, helplessness, violence, the unknown.
Oh, alienation.
Yeah. Arises from disconnection from the self, loss of self-control, loss of memories. In EP specifically, accumulating to weird morphs or different bodies. But that kind of stuff where, you start to lose your sense of self, because that can actually really fuck people up, not being able to... losing self-control or, losing your grip on yourself. That's the side effect of gaslighting, losing trust in your own knowledge.
Soma was kind of going for that. I don't know if they necessarily hit it.
Yeah, I still haven't completed Soma. Just because I didn't feel like doing all the bits again on story mode or whatever, because some of the puzzle solving stuff and the dealing with the scary robots that kill you is a little annoying for what they're going for. Obviously it's kind of important, but there are already mandatory moments, but it's just Soma is one of those helplessness simulators. You can't really deal with the weird traumatized nanogoo robots trying to beat you up or whatever. They just beat you up.
Despite yourself being a crazed nanogoo fucking robot.
Yeah, you're like a human who's fused into a diving suit who got their brain uploaded, and there's all kinds of weird space sci-fi tools around. Yeah, it's just... the fact that you got to do the classic amnesia-ass or Outlast kind of like, oh, memorize the patterns, go when you want, and it's just like, okay, I get what you're trying to go for the stress response, but people don't actually like to do the same, like, people don't like to run mazes over and over again, right? That's why we don't have that as a hobby. People don't like that. And so if you do it too much, I'm definitely one of those people who's like, I'm done with this. I'm not getting anything out of this. Like, I get you want me to, like, learn and improve or whatever, but it's hard to do pattern recognition and stuff when you're also deliberately stressing me out. You know? Like, it's kind of... What, Axe? What? I don't know. Axe is doing an Axe thing. He's yelling about Soma, and I'm like, I don't understand what you're talking about. What do you even know about Soma? But yeah, Soma, at least for the nature of quote-unquote puzzles, had a lot of the classic, like, ooh, you cannot defeat the spooky thing. You must run around in a circle. And I'm like, okay, great. I can stealth and I can run around in circles, but it's... I mean, like, there's some logic to it. Yeah, you tend to make mistakes when you get stressed out, but it's still annoying from, like, especially for a game that has such a heavy narrative aspect, right? Mm. Like, there's an unfolding mystery and all that, for their main block to progress being, can you elude the weird sprinty robot light? Woo! I'm like, but I want to explore and find all the stuff. Oh, well, yeah, no shit, that's usually... I mean, okay, I'm actually quite surprised if you're not bothered by this, but that is actually usually the thing that's freaky to people. Because that is alienation. That's loss of self. The idea that you can be easily copied.
Surprisingly, that doesn't bug me as much as probably should.
It's weird, especially reading Eclipse Phase at a formative time. There were a lot of people were like, "Ooh, freaky episodes of Black Mirror." I'm like, I'm not freaked out at all by some of these concepts you brought up. Like, I've been introduced to these by high sci-fi, and yeah, there can be a little existentially terrifying, but just whatever.
And it's like yes. That is me over there, but this is also me. I am me one, they are me two.
And honestly, well, I mean, Axe, how do you cut paste? How do you cut a brain?
You can't cut brain.
You have to remove the data, so the best you can do is reformat, which is, I'm pretty sure what actually happens to the player. You are in a body that is not yours, but has been reformatted. The person who is there is not in there anymore. The problem is that once you have an original, you can always do it. Eclipse Phase handles this by the nature of the transfer does actually usually involve cut-paste. Well, I don't know about that. Like I said, I'm not 3 hours in, but if they keep copying, I don't know. But yeah, like, the thing is, that's how computer files work. Like, if you don't cut and paste, you can't get rid of them. But what if you don't cut-paste, right? Like, what if you can't remove the data at the same time you upload the data? But yeah, it's an interesting existential problem, and the horror comes into the fact you can never know if they did a cut paste.
I guess that might bug me a little bit more. It's like, it's not so much that it's happened as whether, like, am I the original one? Mm-hmm. I think that would actually probably bug me.
Yeah. And again, when you're working on brains, like, how you can scan a brain, how do you do a cut? A brain is not a computer. You can't tell it to remove the old memory data. That's all. Would that be, I guess the term would be firmware? Because it's not hardware in the sense that your brain is unchanging, but once you write to brain, it's a little hard to get rid of some of that stuff. Like, unless you're losing neurons, your long-term memories really don't go away. Like, especially, like, muscle memory and stuff. The brain is really complex, and it's freaky sometimes. But no, I think definitely seeing Eclipse Phase and stuff is kind of interesting with, like, well, yeah, but that's because like I said, usually those are squishy meat people. Or, that's another thing I think Soma does a lot, is they take scans from people who are in moments of trauma. Mm-hmm. Like, they capture backups or brain scans are even stolen from people without their consent, kind of thing. Where, like, you don't realize what's going on, and then it's like, wait, did you guys ditch me? But I'm still here. And they're like, no, you're not here anymore. We took you somewhere else, but I'm still here. Like, that can be, once you have multiple instances of a person running around, that can cause some convincing, some weird tense situations where I'm like, no, but I took you with me, but I'm still here. Fuck. Tenses. It's like time travel, right? You will have gone with me to the past, but we're in the present right now. Just shut up. Quiet about it, right?
Don't think about it.
And that's one of those things that the normal human experience is not equipped to handle. That's definitely like an alienation or helplessness kind of trauma, where it's just like, huh? What? Huh? Like, trying to wrap your head around unusual things. But no, I think like I said, I was introduced to Eclipse Phase at a relatively formative age. I kind of personally got over the idea of copying or multiple instances of myself pretty quickly too, where it's just like, like it's interesting. I do think at times there is something more to being alive, being a person, than just being a meat robot, basically.
Yeah.
Like, there's some interesting ephemera in life that you can't quite conceptualize. Like, I know it's all just brain chemicals or whatever. Okay, Axe, but they can't, though. Axe keeps bringing this up. If you start with the meat stays, and then once you're copied, you're copied. And actually, I don't know. Like, you don't know the technology. If you're trying to do ask the existential questions, sometimes you do that for the sake of writing.
Also, if I remember in Soma, they didn't actually cut him; they just copied, and then he died like 4 months later or something.
Well, yeah, with the protagonist, yeah, they couldn't do a cut. They did a brain scan to try and fix your brain cancer, but while that didn't fix you, that enabled the future of brain scan technology.
Yeah.
Mind scans. Which is actually, Mind Scan is the name of a novel I really need to pick up again. I read it once as a kid, when I was in my mid-teens. It's got the same concept. I think I've talked about it before. A guy has an incurable, brain disease or something, or neurological disease, where he's like, yeah, I'm gonna die in, like, a couple of years or whatever. So he volunteers for a new service to become a robot, basically, to get a full brain upload, and kind of figure out his life that way, because he has that incurable condition and kind of deal with being two people. And the story follows the two hims. Like, one of them gets sent to a colony on the moon to live out the rest of his natural life so that his new robot body can be his legal body, his legal self, basically. Because just, euthanizing yourself would be weird.
Yeah.
And then, slight spoilers, but the climax tension is when the original self realizes, he hears on the news that they've developed treatments that could potentially cure his condition before he's dead. And so he's like, wait, hold on. This me could still keep going, and kind of, there's some tension there. There's also some other weird existential shit, because the main character's brain is weird, because he didn't, on a form, admit that he was colorblind. So he had some neural atypicalness when they uploaded him. So they actually, there's some interesting moments of some other weird shit I won't get into, as kind of a third-running underplot. But, they also kind of talk about how that could be weird. And that's another thing, why you should always be honest with your medical professionals. Always admit neurodiversity when getting your brain scanned. But anyway, yeah, like I said, I feel like the you that you are is just the information that comprises you up to this point.
Oh, yeah,
we've talked about this a lot. You're probably not the guy you were, the person you were, maybe 5 minutes ago, and definitely not a year ago, 5 years ago.
Nope.
Forget even being a kid, right? Being literally in your formative years, but just in adulthood. I have different priorities, different knowledge, different experiences than 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you were to take all that information and put it somewhere else, so long as you have that continuity, right? So long as I can remember all the stuff that led up to me being the me then, I would still be me.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of interesting ideas for that.
There is. Like I said, man. This is one of those things that I've always grappled with. It's like I would love for there to be a fucking, cut paste kind of main scan. I've always loved that, but I've never really seen it before. It's I can see copy paste way quicker and easier.
Oh yeah, copy paste. If it's possible, copy paste will definitely be the first version.
Yeah. Because as we were saying before, to cut paste, that means we have to basically remove the information in our brain now and then transfer it to another brain. And I'm pretty sure that neurologists haven't completely 100% figured out how that fucking works.
I think the best, most realistic way is how Eclipse Phase does it with biological brains.
Yeah.
Where it's okay, we're gonna have nanomachines literally map out every single goddamned neuron in your brain and just dump that into a fresh cloned brain. And when they're done, they will factory reset your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know what a blank brain basically looks like. So, through the process of the ego bridge, they actually and actually what they do is, sounds a little freaky, but it helps you keep continuity of consciousness. You don't ever pass out and wake somewhere else up, which can be the freaky alienating part. Where if you're in person, they will literally activate different sectors of your brain in the new body at different times. So slowly you basically have an out-of-body experience and literally move into your new body.
I think that'd probably be the best way to do it, honestly.
Which sounds creepy, but honestly would probably be way more comfortable. That's how, like, Ghost in the Shell does it, for instance, though those are using cyber brains.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another concept that might also take off earlier, is just copying your brain data to computer bits and then having those just replace your brain, right? Or completely replace the brain case with cybernetics.
Mm-hmm.
At which point, then you would just be a computer. And honestly, I do think that's possible. Like, I know that brains are really complex, but ultimately, I think it is actually possible for us to emulate, honestly, anything on computers. Because, hey, it's a legit theory that the world might actually just be an emulation on a computer. We don't know. The Matrix could be real.
Listen, Lucky has an existential crisis about one day he's going to die, like maybe once a week.
Who doesn't?
And it's not so much that I'm going to cease functioning. It's either one, I'm gonna miss out on everything that comes after I die, or two, I'm just gonna go into a void and I'm not gonna be able to do anything ever again. I like doing stuff, people.
All right. Sorry to interrupt you, Lucky, but I've got a How Very Dare right now. I just saw on Steam that Vesper is playing Civ 6, and I am annoyed. I want to play Civ 6.
Boot up Civ 6?
Actually, well, I don't own it, and here's the problem. Yeah, I don't own Civ 6 yet, and actually one of the things I've been doing while I've been killing time, some of it while writing or doing other stuff, prepping the channel, working on videos, is Team 4-Star has had stream archives of them, a couple of them playing through Civ 6, but they've got some mods in there which seem really cool, and they're on a discounted price right now, but even if you were to get all the mods, that's still like $45 to get all the bits, and I'm kind of like, that's always the issue with Civ. I did reinstall Civ 5, because I bought that at like a super low discount season pass thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you get all the DLC. So that's probably what I'll end up doing with Civ 6 in a couple of years. But Civilization is definitely one of those games where it's like, you really want all the bells and whistles. Like, they really iterate that game. God, I love Civ, though. But actually, I might cycle back to that, because I have some thoughts and feelings about some other stuff there. But, hold on, what was I going to say about the existential thing? Oh, actually, I was going to talk about, I reminded. So, talking about, like, the whole world as a simulation and different types of horror and information, that was literally a game I ran in Nemesis. It was called Information Hypothesis. Lucky, unfortunately, was not part of it, but I've told him about it, where the players thought they were normal people in a tech startup somewhere in the middle of the desert, right? They were on a little, like, self-contained tech compound kind of thing, minding their own business in the office, and then one day they get an email. Everything you know is a lie. You're in danger. You gotta move. Like, opening Matrix 1 style. And shit gets weird. And I didn't have a high-end, like, further plot for it, which would be what I would do now if I was ever to reuse it, would be, like, turned into a whole thing, and I might not even use Nemesis. But the idea was that what came out was that the players figured out they were actually brain scans. They were people who volunteered to get their brains scanned and uploaded, running in an emulation of real life, where they were basically being digital sweatshopped. Like, they were doing office work, but in a virtual environment, so they didn't need real office space. And the message they got at the beginning was a hacker letting them know that they were going to basically do a whistleblow, and they were letting them know that they were in trouble, and to get them out of the simulation. And kind of deal with the weirdness and surreality of, like, oh yeah, your life is literally a simulation right now. That guy you saw get killed, that's fake. But also, you still see, it's still realistic. It sure looks like your coworker got, his face blown off by a mysterious, bland gentleman in a suit holding a gun. And eventually it got to the point where, like, because they realized they were in a simulation, they could reprogram it and, like, make stuff just happen. Though, I made that cost sanity, by the way.
Oh, yeah, no.
Like, that you had to roll against, I think, the unknown to basically be like, oh yeah, sure, you can materialize a machine gun. But that's not how reality works, so that's a little existentially freaky.
Hack reality.
And then, like I said, if I wanted to turn that into a campaign, the plot would basically be like, hey, you guys are the first generation of brain uploads. You've escaped onto the internet or something. What do you do? Do you get back at the company who's done this to you? Do you just get in the whistleblower? Who knows? So we probably want to talk. We've been going for almost an hour and a half. Jeez.
Yeah.
We like tabletop and we like sci-fi stuff.
Ew.
I want to take a quick intermission. And then either we should come back and talk about Gacha, or I can talk about The Mandalorian or other stuff.
Yeah, we can talk about The Mandalorian. We had some Star Wars in there.
All right, so I'm going to take a pauser, and I'll be right back. And we're back. Okay. Well, since like I said, I will talk about The Mandalorian.
Talk about The Mandalorian.
So I did not yet find the time, to rewatch the whole of the first season.
Mm.
Because that's like 8 episodes, which are like 40 to 50 minutes long, so that would require a big binge, and like I said, I've spent a decent amount of my loose time this week writing. Hopefully next week I'll be able to go ahead and do that, because I really want to now after watching the premiere of the new season. So it's... Sorry, there's a lot of different threads going on in Discord right now. Slightly distracting. But no, anyway, the premiere of the new season, it's really good. I like it a lot. Like I said, it gave me a lot of vibes for like Edge of the Empire and just for Star Wars games in general. And I'm like, yeah, this is some good energy. Definitely want to rewatch those episodes and get some of that mood in here, you know? They do some really interesting things. It's very funny, Lucky. This isn't a spoiler because this is the like cold open scene. But there is a Fight Club scene with Gamorreans with Vibroaxes fighting.
Oh, huh.
It's very funny that I'm like, oh hey, I know those vibes. So that was interesting, and then there's a lot of other like, it's kind of like, obviously it keeps the meta plot forward, and I won't do spoilers or anything. Lucky, have you watched the first season yet?
I have not.
Okay, yeah, I will avoid like overall spoilers, but it's got light thematic connections. It's got some callbacks. It is set on Tatooine again after there was an episode which was mostly a standalone in the first season. That's not a spoiler to say that was on Tatooine.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of we return to Tatooine. We do get some like calls back to the first season, which I think is a good idea to kind of reward people for staying invested. But it does a lot of stuff, does some interesting things, and I'm trying to think about my spoiler to spectacle ratio. Like talking about stuff. I mean, I'll say it. Fuck it. It's not. I don't think it's a spoiler because it's not like a plot detail. But there's they go back to Tatooine. There's a crate dragon in it.
Yeah.
This is the first canonical appearance of a crate dragon on movie film in Star Wars. They've been illustrated before. There have been skeletons, right?
Yeah.
They've appeared in many different forms in video games over the years. Many different designs. What was possible with the technology. But this is the first like big boy Lucasfilm Direct depiction, and it's interesting. Also got a lot of just in general space western vibes. Also, I do want to say I've been confirmed it was canonical. Space ballistas do exist.
Oh, sweet.
Because apparently Tusken Raiders have fucking Dragon Slayer crossbows, which I guess I shouldn't be shocked at. That's established in A New Hope that old Ben scares off the Tuskens by making a crate dragon cry, right?
Mm. So,
like, yeah, sure, they probably got some stuff to deal with that. But yeah, no, there's a lot of really good action, a lot of good energy, good quips, good callbacks. It's a really, really... I like the show a lot. I know some people had problems with some of the looser episodes, and I admit that, like, yeah, in the first season, the one episode they did that was just Seven Samurai again, because that was already a Clone Wars episode. Feels a little repetitive, but they still do a lot of interesting stuff with the visuals. They do, like, they use this as an opportunity to bring back a lot of classic species props. Like, I don't think we've seen Gamorreans on screen. Maybe there were some in Solo, but probably not. I don't remember them. It might have been since Return of the Jedi, since we saw a Gamorrean on screen, like, live action. They get to a lot of aesthetic callbacks and do a lot of really interesting things. Like, in the opening scene I mentioned, the Mando walks down an alleyway, for instance, which is covered in Star Wars graffiti, so tagging is canonical. And it's really interesting. You see lots of different designs. Including a very prominent thing where there are stormtrooper helmets graffitied on the walls that have big red X's through them, which is kind of another thematic callback to kind of this idea that the Empire is done now in this universe kind of thing. The first season had an episode where I think it was the Tatooine episode where there are just rows of spikes with empty stormtrooper helmets lined up on them.
Jeez.
Just to let people know, hey, you're not here anymore. So yeah, it's a good episode as a setup, and I am immediately invested. They're bringing back good guest characters. If you've been on the internet, there might be a certain end of episode spoiler. They did the stinger again, where unfortunately I think most of the internet knows that Baby Yoda is a thing. When the first season existed, that was a big reveal at the end of episode 1, which I really liked because that's a really fucking good reveal. But Baby Yoda is too adorable to keep secret. I don't know if the episode 1 reveal of the second season will stay quiet, but I'm not going to talk about it yet. But still, they have good use of guest characters. They have Timothy Olyphant playing a space sheriff. It's good. It's great. A lot of good energy. We see a lot of Tusken Raiders. Apparently, half of the Tusken Raider language is sign language, which would make sense because they're constantly have their faces covered, so you can't do body language. You got to do big arm gestures. But lots of fun stuff, lots of fun little props. And if you've got a Disney Plus, I recommend checking it out if you want that Star Wars-y feel. Especially if you're into Star Wars role-playing. Like I said, this is totes an Edge of the Empire job kind of a setup. With enough through-line stuff that like you can see the overarching plot. I do warn you, there is a don't do a thing where you're like, oh, I'm not caught up. I want to check out the first episode. Don't do that. There's a recap at the front.
Oh.
So you should, if you can, take your time, watch the first 8 episodes, and then go into 9. Which, by the way, is a great thing. They've literally titled this Chapter 9.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so they went straight for the idea that it's a different production season, but they're just continuing the throughput right away, which is great. Great energy. A little burpee there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was my Mandalorian thoughts in 5 minutes or less. Definitely not 5 seconds. So, do we want to talk about how Gacha is trying to destroy us?
Yes, let's.
All right. Well, where do we want to start?
Well, let's start with Genshin Impact, I guess. Because I think we can get that out of the way quickly.
All right, fair enough. I admit I haven't played a lot of Genshin this week. I need to find the time.
Lucky, temporarily lost his mind again and spent more money on the fucking game. He shouldn't have. He really shouldn't have. I don't know why I did. See, usually I don't mind spending money if I have a concrete reason for it, but I didn't. I'm just like, I just want to fucking roll. And I did, and I spent money. I'm like, I shouldn't have done that.
I mean, we've talked about this, that urge to roll, that can get you.
Yeah. Like, I wasn't really going for anything particular. I just rolled on the standard banner. I was able to get some stuff. I'm like, cool, that's great. But
this wasn't even like a Madman's attempt to get Klee or something?
No, it was just, I just want to fucking roll. Like, wow. I spent like $120. I'm just like, why? This made no goddamn sense. And I did it on the... Like, I know, like, I will actually say I had temporary insanity when I did this, because I'm looking back and it's like...
Is it because you got... When did you spend the money? Was it after you got paid recently?
Yes, actually.
That's probably it. You were like, I have money, I can do what I want, and then 5 minutes later you're like, Lucky, why did you do this?
Yeah.
I have definitely done that sometimes, when you get, like, a little bit of a cash infusion or a windfall, like after a birthday or something, you're like, I've got money, it's fine, and then you blow a bunch of it at once, and you're like, "Did I really need to get that all at once, me?"
I didn't blow all my money, but it's still like one of those things of like, that's $130 because I did a lot of purchases, like, and like I said, I bought me some books. I bought me the Book of Adonatology because I just want to support the man who decided to write a fucking religion based on big beautiful butts. I'm like, you deserve some money.
Fair enough.
But I also pushed back some other purchases because my Trails of Cold Steel 4 came in, and like other things. So because Lucky for a long time was thinking about buying like a bunch of Dead or Alive games because Destiny Child, which I'll talk about in a little bit, definitely got me jonesing for it again.
Yeah, because they were doing the collab. You talked about that last week.
Yeah. But now I was like, no, I can wait on this. These are things that I don't need, because I'm not horrible with money. I'm definitely not good. I'm not like a Meg who just be like, no, I'm not doing it.
But yeah, Omega developed a strong sense of frugality, but
yeah, no,
that's I will say, while it is useful, it's not necessarily fun, because even when I can clearly spend money, I still get anxiety attacks about spending money.
Yeah, like
anything over $10 is like.
So I'm like, no, I really didn't have, like I had the money. I have the thing. I still have, like, I'm still like okay, because I get paid like every 2 weeks, and all my bills are basically coming out of this paycheck. So the like $900 I'm getting in like 2 weeks, that's all disposable, technically disposable income, technically. But I still have to make it 2 weeks to get there, and that's what's killing me right now. I'm like, no. So like I did dumb. I said I didn't even get anything special. I think I got a 5-star weapon. It was a bow. I got, oh god, what's her name? How do you pronounce her name? I got Lightning Greatsword Lady Pirate. Eye patch. Fucking,
eye patch.
Yeah.
Fischl?
No, not Fischl. Not Fischl. That's Archer. She's Greatsword.
Greatsword. I don't even know if I know this character then.
It's Babe. Is it like Beidou or something like that? Beidou. I think it's like spelled like that. And it's like someone it's like, and it's someone I have been wanting, but again, it's just like she's just around. Yeah. I think I got some more. I got another water sword dude. I got more Noels.
And we've talked about this, especially because you're at a higher level point in the game. Even while getting new characters is fun, that is an investment to turn those around to actually using them.
Yeah. No, like, again, talking about Genshin Impact, I kind of regret the fact that I kind of spread myself out. I should have, like, focused on 4 people I really like and just stuck there.
I admit, while I like new characters, I have mostly done that. Where, like, I have a few more, but I've spent a lot of time with the characters I like. Like, that seems pretty... Understanding how to use those characters pretty effectively. I've just been kind of busy and not super interested in hopping in for much more than dailies, and even not then some of the days. But hey, that happens sometimes. The game's pretty chill. I'll appreciate that. I definitely still like the gameplay enough that if I heard like that, I think they're planning on December, the big like 1.2 update with a new region. Like, if I wasn't already caught up on story quests, I would definitely be like, oh, well, I need to sit down and like get through story content in Genshin so I can see some more of the world and stuff, right? World building's really good, guys. But have you got anything else particular to talk about Genshin other than your accidental, I guess we'll call it, spending spree?
Yeah, no, that's about it.
Genshin fun. Does stuff.
Let's see here. Destiny's Child is Destiny's Child. I've not spent money on that yet. I do plan on it if I don't get this character because, like I said, Destiny's Child's pretty fucking generous. You can literally just buy packs that have characters in them. And that's not
pretty good.
Yeah. Like, and usually it's not just a character, usually it's another few other bits and bobs. But I've been trying to do it without it, but the time's running out. So yeah, no, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to drop like $45 and get a pack. Because the interesting thing about the Dead or Alive collab characters is they're not in the permanent pool. So
I mean that makes sense. That usually happens with collabs because of licensing.
Yeah. But it's interesting. If I can get one copy of the character, they become available for the reincarnation, which means I can sack other 5 stars for a chance to get them, so I can get them up to their max potential, I guess is the best way to say it. Like I said, Destiny's Child, very, very, very free to play friendly. I guess
honestly, I probably, because you've talked about it a lot, I probably, if Genshin hadn't swept the nation, I probably would have jumped in and tried it.
Yeah.
And it might still in the future. I don't know. I gotta find my balance of stuff.
Oh, Ark's talking about how they end up to get it. Wait, you talking about all 5, Ark? Because it's, this is their second collab, because the first collab had Kasumi, Marie Rose, and Honoka. The second one, has Ayane and, Lei Fang. I still need Honoka. Aw, this motherfucker. Yeah, I still need Honoka.
You got all the stuff?
You got all the stuff. And then I can literally have a team of just Dead or Alive girls. I'm like, I need this in my life. This would be great. Especially since this is Destiny Childs and they're fucking horny on main. So, Kasumi and Anya have big old butts. I'm like, But that's really it for Destiny Child. So we got through those 2 quickly. So I guess that leaves us at Azur Lane and Arknights. Which one you want to tackle first?
Well, I mean, we can talk about Azur Lane. That's not really... It's another music event, so there's not much to talk about. Just kind of talk about how we're doing with stuff. Hey, doing the rhythm game parts muted is surprisingly easy, as I'm doing a song right now. I will listen to some of these, because some of these are okay, but it's definitely, at least in easy mode, it's perfectly easy to play without music fucking it up, because I cannot play the music right now. I'm literally recording the show, which works by capturing my system audio, in case you don't know, guys. I've done a couple of roles. I've gotten Taiho Mew already, and Baltimore Mew, which is pretty heavily already in my scratch-off list. It's also going to be hilarious if I do get Rune Mew, because I don't have regular Rune yet. I'm still working on that one. She is the ship I am currently working on. I think I'm on her second EXP tier, but still, it's funny. Oh, though actually, I double-checked, and I did recently get Monarch all the way to 100, so that's pretty good. I'll have to maybe feed her a chip soon.
I was actually pretty fortunate. I think I got all... Yeah, I wrote this in our Discord. I got all of these ships in 80 cubes.
Yeah, doing pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good. So I'm like, yeah, no, I'm done. Then I realized, all right, but now I need to build 3 ships every day for points. I'm like, God fucking damn it.
Well, at the very least, you can at least do light and only spend 3 cubes, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I'm going to do.
I've gotten decent luck on getting reruns that I don't need, so I've rolled like 2 Cleveland Mews. So if you missed out the first music event, give this a try. I think they're rerunning everybody who was on the construction before as well.
Yeah. But that's that. It's literally just that. I did buy the lucky bag because I do like lucky bags. And I got the Haman costume, which I'm like, I'm okay with this. I love Haman. She's so tiny and angry. Calls me hentai a lot. It tickles my fancy. But then I immediately turned around and spent those gems on getting shit, I can't remember which one is it. Z23? No, it's not Z23. The 2 new Iron Blood costumes, and I might scratch a little bit more so I can pick up Zed's costume before it gets out of here.
We've got Starlit Chocolate Z46.
Z46, that's what it is.
And it's a vampire. Oh, you 110, the Super Shark one.
Yes.
Which a lot of people find adorable, especially because of other stuff going on. Sharks are very popular. Oh my god, the Haman one. I just opened up this store to check and I clicked on her costume. Haman Punch.
I love Haman. I think Haman was probably the first one I actually got to 100 back in the day before I was full Iron Blood.
Yeah, it was a pretty good one.
Lucky loves his Iron Blood, but he's not just all about that. I have plenty in like if I had the money, I'd definitely be picking up Elizabeth's and Warspite's costume as well.
They're also I don't know if they're actually are the Halloween costumes permanent or limited? It's hard to tell.
Some of them are. See, Azur Lane likes to
I believe they did do a rerun though of them for the ones that aren't permanent. And they still got them. Do I have a Memphis? I don't got the gems right now. It's fine. I don't want to buy a lucky bag right now. Though I could. Hey, after we talk about Gacha, we're going to talk about Cyberpunk, probably.
But Arknights is, I guess, where the investment is right now.
Yeah.
They rolled out a new event.
A real event. It does stuff.
It does stuff, and it has baller music. I'm gonna say that right now. I fucking love the music in this.
Yeah,
event.
When you mentioned that, I actually made sure to turn up my phone so I could hear it. Because I, especially for a lot of casual play, like doing Annihilation runs, I just let it cruise. But yeah, no, they got good music. Yeah, doing some interesting things with what's the name? I don't know. Anyway, they have all these poetic ass names.
We've definitely gone some like poetic gothic kind of feels here with this. Or how far have you gotten in the story of the event?
Now, unfortunately, I'm not very far. I think I'm only on chapter 3.
Oh yeah, there's 8 chapters I want to say.
Yeah,
8 combat chapters, and there's 3 or 4.
There's apparently some hidden stuff too, which some of the people in the gacha are worrying about. I'm gonna tackle the main line before I get into like the extra level.
Yeah, we still got we got over a week.
Yeah, you got I think last night I had 11 days. I didn't get as far as I wanted because I think I mentioned this earlier. My stomach was kind of bothering me last night, so I did a couple chapters and then was kind of like, okay, I'm not feeling great. I'm gonna finish up my week worth of Annihilations and move on. But what I've seen so far, I like. I do kind of no spoilers. I do hope Atro is all right, but if she's not, I understand. Arknights, you hate fun. Well, that's not entirely true. The summer event was very fun, but usually Arknights is very serious, and at times it's a little too serious and depressing. I would love to actually be able to do good things for once, Arknights. Like the summer event. I think the summer event had the right tone, where like there was a little bit of tragedy and sadness, but you felt like you did some work at the end. You did good things, but yeah, it's.
If I remember right, I'm pretty sure, remember, these are the same people, half this team came from the people who did fucking Girls Frontline, and boy howdy. It's like, do you like depression and sadness?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Here you go.
Though even with Girls Frontline, I do felt like a lot of the time there was some of that aspect of, like, we're still trying to do stuff, right?
Oh, yeah.
Had good writing. But yeah, it's an interesting tone, seeing the kind of the so far only seeing the couple of Rhodes Island characters running around, like a good intro to new characters. I like the setting for this mobile city kind of thing. It's I feel like they're trying to be like Swiss kind of a thing, like one of those alpine neutral countries in Central Europe. Yeah, like they talked about how everybody there has to do military service, so I'm like, oh, so it's like the Swiss.
Yeah,
got some interesting
they have a keen interest in the arts and sciences, like way up there.
And because they're good at arts, and they have a strong music scene, by the way. They're good at capital A arts. They usually have a better treatment for the infected than normal, though obviously it seems like there's some civil unrest going on, which is always interesting to see, and kind of a big sticking point with Arknights. Arknights likes a lot of incredibly unsubtle commentary about handling people and human rights.
Yeah.
Actually, I should say the I guess, was it like a Chinese New Year event? The what was it called? The Mostima event. That was another one that had a lot of the lulls in it.
Oh, Code of Brawl.
Code of Brawl, yeah. That one was almost complete comedy, really.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even when something vaguely sad happened, it kind of got over itself.
It was serious in the background, but because the characters were the characters, you couldn't take it too seriously.
Yeah, that was another good mix. And honestly, I'm okay if they do, like I said, I think the Obsidian Festival was the right tone for Arknights usually for me, where it's like, ooh, this is a little sad and sometimes fucked up and bad stuff is happening. But we're trying.
This is literally the entire mood of fucking Code of Brawl.
Yes. The entire, well, yeah, Bison's entire character arc is leading him up to, they're pushing that kid up to freaking out and just hitting things with his trash can. But yeah, somebody asked if I got Small Fox. I have not rolled yet. I don't know. So from what I've seen, I'm kind of liking Suzerain. I might try singles. Remember though, this is Arknights. At some point in the past, they stopped liking me, so yeah, I have not rolled yet. I don't know what's coming next, but I'm not super. Just by scanning the banner when it launched, I wasn't super hooked on any of the new characters. Suzerain is cute though, so I'm like, I don't know. I might try like the lucky method of just single pulls until I get a 5-star and then see if I want to stop. I know that there's at least one headhunting pass in the shop. Oh, actually, that reminds me. I think my monthly pack expired today. I need to re-up. Not that I'm hurting for any of that stuff, just it's important to keep it up there. Mm-hmm. And I've heard that actually the game can get a little sanity intense with farming.
Yeah, you don't get a lot.
The story or the new maps rather are, if you want to farm them for the currency, you may need to invest in some sanity potions. But the monthly pack is very affordable. And I have kept up even when not playing Arknights a lot, like just doing daily quests and Annihilation every week, I usually keep my monthly pass up. So yeah, this is pretty good. I like it so far. But yeah, like I said, I haven't rolled because I have concerns about my rolling history with Arknights lately.
Lucky he rolled, he again spent money. He didn't spend as much as he did in Genshin. He spent, because he made 2 rolls, then he spent enough money to make 2 more rolls. And then when he didn't have anything, he was all like, alright, now I'm pulling out the fucking big guns, and I went and spent my gold certs to just get multiple 10 packs. Because that's the thing, if you spend
move. But you get a shitload of stuff if you do that, by the way.
Oh, like, yeah.
If you've got enough certs, you will get a lot of rolls. I've done that before when I've been like, I'm not interested in either of these units, and they're going to be here for like 24 days. Fuck it. Gold certs.
Yeah, I know. And I was able to get a Small Fox, and I still have like 11 singles and like 1 full 10 pull left. Nice. I'm just like, so I'm like,
I've gotten far enough to get, God, I've forgotten her name, even though I like her a lot. Suitcase Girl.
Who?
The other character, the welfare.
Yeah, Folinik.
Yeah, Folinik.
Yeah, I've gotten her. I've gotten her up to like fucking.
What even class is she? I don't think I noticed.
She's a medic.
She's medic. Okay, makes sense. Good. Medics are fun.
Yeah, I think I got her. I've gotten like 3 copies. I got the free copy again. Then I've gotten like 3 copies out of the store. So that's what I've been working on. Right now, Folinik. Did I say Folo or Foley? I don't fucking know. Right now,
damaging skills on a medic.
I have heckin'. I've completed the story as is so far. I only have 1 map that I haven't got 3 stars. It's the very fucking last one. Because they pulled a fucking Big Bob on ya. Fun fact, I've gotten far enough that that one guy is like, they actually reference good old Big Bob. And I appreciate it, where they're like, hey, what do you ever think? Did you ever hear from Big Bob? And then like 5 seconds later, he's like, so was his name Bob and we just called him Big Bob because he was fucking huge? Or was that his code name? And the guy doesn't answer them at all. It's hilarious. I love it. I love the subtle callbacks. It's got a little bit of that humor in there. Yeah, but also I'm also putting Mudrock in enemies that I wish was on my side.
I think I've seen a screen cap that's that guy's name, Mudrock.
Yeah.
Hey now, guys, remember.
Wait, she?
What's wrong with you people? Is it a woman?
Is it a woman?
That's even better. Apparently, we're getting some news that I think that Arknights is gearing up for their 1.5 anniversary in CN, and much like I don't know the context, but much like how you can roll W, one of the reunion bosses, apparently you can actually get what's her face, Mud Slapper.
Oh yeah, Mudrock, 6-star defender.
Are they limited? Will I die? Oh gosh, they're up to chapter 8. Fuck. I feel like this put me in the right mood, right? I'm definitely gonna have to get in and punch more story. Like, I think I've got the tools for it.
Oh my god, Mudrock is a woman. That is fucking wild.
Oh, shit. And she's cute. What species is she? That looks like Sarkaz.
Yeah, no, Sarkaz.
That would make sense. They do actually mention that in the story. And actually, that's a fun thing where they're like, they even talk about where, like, the suzerain of the city, the big guy, the Schultz, is like,
wait, no, wrong one, fuck.
Demons. Isn't that?
Well, yeah, it says 6-star. Wait,
yeah, Mudrock, 6-star defender, Vulcan-type archetype.
Yeah,
The one above her is Rosmontis.
Yeah.
6-star sniper. By the way, I've seen images of Rosmontis. She looks cool. She shoots those fucking shield cases at people.
Yeah, I want those too.
Which can block up enemy units. Oh, it looks rad. That's one thing I really like about Arknights, is they are not afraid to get,
anime as fuck.
Yeah, wacky and wild with some of their operator abilities. Ooh, and W gets a costume. That's cute. It's very casual. Nice look. Oh, speaking of costumes, by the way, I did have enough Prime. I bought the Mostima costume immediately. Because I have a Mostima, and I appreciate her. I had to roll a few times for that one. Okay, Rosmontis is limited. Mudrock is not? Interesting. I also like that this looks like that's her... You don't find out... Like, she doesn't take the gear off until E2.
Mm-hmm.
Though, obviously, the voice portrayal will probably give it away.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I totally thought Mudrock was a dude. Like, I don't think there was anything to determine gender anywhere in there.
No, but I appreciate that. You don't... That's one of those things where, like, you don't feel like it's a waifu character or anything. And I appreciate that, like, after you go to E2 in the promotions and the trust, it's like, oh, I can take my gear off, but I'm still start with all my crap on there.
Like, I'm just like I said, like, I like Mudrock. I liked Mudrock in the beginning. I'm like, now we've gone beyond.
Mudrock is a cute demon girl.
Oh, no.
What do you do?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, I have a danger. Arknights has a lot of those swerves. Oh, no. Oh, no. It's either, oh, no, she's hot, or, oh, no, they're cool. Shit.
But, like I said, we'll probably talk more about the story and the themes and whatnot.
Yeah, because I'm going to get through all the story. I would have gotten farther, like I said. But and I appreciate, well, I'm hearing the last couple of maps might be a little rough. I appreciate that they do the classic thing, like they did, like, way back in earlier events of, like, reducing the difficulty. Like the first map is, like, recommended level 20, and it was just like, oh, hey, I've got a max level E1 Siege who I'm preparing to E2, so she's just going to kick all your butts. And go home.
The problem I'm having with the last map, well, it's twofold. The secret missions, one of them to do, you have to complete that last map with only 6 characters, and I'm just looking at myself like, I can't fucking do that. I can't 3-star it as I can't 3-star it as is. I can't 3-star it as is because while majority of the enemies go to either one of 2 spots, there's one fucking golem, literally one fucking golem that goes to this way out of the way thing. I'm like, I don't have the resources to divert here. And I don't go asking for help on our Discord because I have this sinking suspicion that people will just say, hey, just use this character and not care whether or not I actually have them prepared and ready to use. So I'm like,
I realized I just muted myself for a second there. You're probably better off asking our chat like right now, because you can probably get some different suggestions. Sometimes they can be a little spicy, but honestly, I think the Patreon crew, like if they were to ask you what kind of operators do you have out of so many, they could probably hit you up right there. But we don't have to. That's definitely a thing where, like, I think I've talked about this before, how weird kind of the Arknights community was about stuff where it was like, like I understand why they do it, but there's definitely that aspect of, like, they only do, like, free-to-play runs. And, like, okay, I understand why, but it's still kind of, like, weird because obviously everybody has those units. They're not always the most optimal. Like, you can do a lot more with them high level. Uses low DP operators to start charging the gramophones early. Oh, so the gramophones come back. I have heard of them in the story. I haven't seen them as a map texture yet.
I do. I usually throw out my bagpipe and C to start generating demon and get in charge it and start charging. Let's see here. Actually,
so I just logged into I'm attempting to quietly play Genshin in the background because I've done all my dailies on Azur Lane. I logged in and I just got a shitload of Primogens. Good on you.
But at some point I have to switch out to fucking defenders because they start throwing bodies at you.
Yeah, that's always a concern. I've even seen that in some of the early maps where they try to bum rush you and you're like, okay, so clearly I need backups on my backups. And even with only 6, is that 6 actually, what's the requirement? Is it only deploy 6 units or only have 6 units in your roster. If it's only have 6 units in your roster, that is going to be a pain in the ass.
Oh, 6 roster, yeah. See,
Spicy.
that's what I mean. I'm like,
Yeah, I don't know what to do about that one. There are probably a small handful of units, and you do have a decent spread of units in Arknights.
I do, but it's just like I don't know if I can like here's the thing, like I had to actually let me pull up the map. I'll show you the fucking map.
Go for it.
Because the map really
I'll take a look ahead. I'm not afraid.
Like, so the way that the gramophones, like, I posted in Patreon, the way the gramophones works is you have to deploy operators on the lightning bolts, and then it charges the fucking gramophones. And the gramophones will, like, heal your units and deal damage to enemies. Really nice, super useful.
Yes.
But as I said, they only charges if you have operators on them. And the enemy will deploy fucking long-range ass fucking mages who can steal those controls away from you. If they steal the controls away from you, guess what? They start fucking hurting you.
I hate this immediately.
So you have to basically do a territory control battle, with this. And here's the thing, and this is where my problem comes in. I can do it because, if you notice on the second row, there's those 2 spots. I fucking put my fucking fire daughter right there, just point her up, and just walk through here, see what fucking happens.
Oh yeah, no, I noticed, Lucky, this map involves straight lines.
Yes. But, like I said,
people die.
But like, it's hard to keep her healed because, if she's facing that way, I have no one to get to what's coming behind her. But like, most of the enemies go for the 2 left ones, but there is one golem, because there's these big tanky golems that come up, that will go to the right. So if I have everything trying to keep the fucking Zerg Rush from the left from breaking through, which they'll do because they'll bring a lot of enemies with shields, high HP, and fucking Mudrock's in there, who has her own. I have to change my thinking now. Mudrock's a her. Holy shit. It's like, I have to literally put all my current resources, and I do mean all, on just one side, and that one just walks like over to the left. I'm just like, God fucking damn it. Literally the only reason why I don't have a 3-star is because that one fucking golem.
By the way, that's definitely an anime-ass move of, like, big swole character, swaddled in armor, takes off their hat, hot chick. It's definitely a
See, Penguin, you've done it already, and support Asia. You assume that I fucking have something like that.
Well, yeah. But also saying support Aya is like, that's find a friend who has Aya Fiala on it. Though
I'm curious if I even do.
You probably do. If you don't, you can find him. Like, I don't curate my friends list very strongly in Arknights, but I can usually find all the quote-unquote meta operators on it.
Let's see here. They got E2. Honestly, I do need to E2 Amiya.
Amiya is a workhorse. She's on my list, too. I don't have her quite to the... Actually, do I have an E2? I might. I don't think I do, though. I definitely don't use that particular skill very much for reasons, but the reason is that her third skill is a bomb. It's a suicide. If she does it, she has to go home. She can come back, but she has to go home for a little bit. But yeah, that's some interesting stuff.
Oh, I do have someone who has the Afiala. Interesting.
Nice.
That's 2 people, 3 people. She seems like, okay, I got 3 people who have a Afiala. Actually, maybe I should just get more friends. I only have 26 friends out of 50.
Oh,
I don't know.
So I understand sometimes the Discordians are a little sassy about stuff, but other than occasional times that known jokesters have deliberately flooded me with clues as a joke, I don't really have any complaints out of the friend system, and I get a lot of action. I see a lot of good people on your support list, so you could probably just put out that you could use some more friends and see if there's anybody who doesn't have you added.
I'll show off my current team. Current teams, my highest levels. I can do that. Wait, where does this end? Okay, it ends at her. Yeah,
you've done a lot of work on those E2s. Good job there. Having gotten into E2ing, that is definitely a big pain in the butt.
Yeah, basically that's where I'm at.
Got all action.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure Amiya became a guard for story reasons, so I'm not digging into that till we actually get there. Arknights did do a big stream recently where they showed some CMs, they talked about some stuff, and apparently guard Amiya is a fucking thing. Apparently she has one of Chin's swords. And I'm like...
Well, I mean, they're at chapter 8. We're at max at 5, I think.
Yeah, so I'm just like...
If it's a thing, I'll find out later.
Like, I'm excited to get there, but I'm excited in the way that I'm excited for Lost Belt 3.
And also, that's an interesting idea. That's very interesting to see, especially because Amiya is the, like, story progression unit. But eventually, if they keep adding story, you've gotten your max potential Amiyas and stuff. The idea of, like, deploying different Amiyas is actually kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
But also, I love the joke. She's a fucking guard. Of course she is. Guard Knights, everybody. Who isn't a guard in Arknights? Waka waka.
Waka waka. Yeah, but, like... most of my E2s are like around level 50 because I need to make more E2s because I need... God, Jessica, I love you. Honestly, I do love you. Girl, you're at 200%. You're great. But I need someone to do a little bit harder damage, girl. I'm sorry. I love you.
Hey, I mean, there is a reason why my first E2 was apple pie. Not only because I'm flooded by Exias, but also, she kills shit really good.
Yeah, she does.
Skill 3, 5x damage, deletes a lot of stuff. Like, I legit, in some of these low-level maps and like, stories and stuff, these new areas, I could probably stick her alone on some of these zones, and without actually putting, like, a Vanguard or Guard down there, and just have her shoot every motherfucker, and it would work. Like, it's a little wacky and wild.
Yeah, let's see here. I need to E2 Schwartz. I need to E2 Mostima. Was there anyone else?
Not on my E2 list. Oh, did I actually? I don't remember if I actually E2'd Silver Ash. I was not playing for a little bit after going through my cycle. I should double check if I have. I think I did. I did. So I think, like I said, if Amiya's not already, she's on my list. But I think I did do her already. And I think Siege might be my next one because I've got her at max level E1. Like that unit a lot. Spent a lot of time working on that one.
Like, when Bagpig come out and I got her at the last moment, I put a lot of work in getting her up so I could have, big Gunlance energy. No offense.
Honest, I don't actually know sorry, so just kind of, I don't know if we're actually at 6, because I'm still in 5. I don't know if we've gotten the next chapter release.
Yeah, no,
I need to work through story, I know this already.
I was planning on working on story, but guess what? Then they decided to drop an event on me. Thanks!
Hey, gets you in the mood at least. We are at 6, okay. Then I definitely need to catch up at least one more. Gotta push forward. Gotta do stuff. And like I said, Arknights has a lot of writing. Sometimes it's a little wordy, but it's got a lot of good work. They're good at that. But okay, any other thoughts on the Arknights, though?
No, it continues to be good. I likes it. I definitely do not have enough fucking sanity to get shit done. Goddamn. Fuck. Actually, but I do have, 3 sanity potions that I need to finish before the end of tomorrow. But I still have to do my annihilation runs. Heck.
Yeah, like I said, because I didn't feel like keeping at the story and, reading, I definitely did those myself last night. Finished up. Maxed out. Always good for stuff.
Yeah, but I still got, 40 sanity I can recover, so I don't have to work on it now. But yeah, no, that's it for me for Arknights. Oh, yeah, I did say I got a Fluffy Fox, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. Okay.
You get any of the other new ones? Whose name?
I got all the other new ones. I got a Click and the fucking, what was it, Ire or something. I think they both got max potential because they're like, here you go, and I was like, I do not want this.
It happens sometimes. But yeah, I'm sure next time we can probably talk more about the actual story beats.
Mm-hmm.
I sat down last night and was like, okay, I want to work on this one because I want to talk about it. Much like how I actually, didn't jump into the you were actually pretty ready pretty early, but I was like, hold on, I want to actually watch the new episode of Mandalorian so I can talk about it. So I've made sure to do a few things. Oh, that's pretty funny. Just saw a tweet from Watson Amelia of HoloLive EN, who apparently made herself a separate YouTube account so she could membership for both Gura and Kiara for some of their members-only streams, which is hilarious. HoloLive is cool, but I don't think we really have anything else to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
They've started getting into Among Us more over there, which is pretty cool. Pretty fun to see. I do know that apparently Ian is in talks to do some Jackbox, but apparently they need to make sure there's some legal clarifications, probably because of the way... We've talked about this before. Japan is a little weird with how they handle their copyrights and stuff, and don't really have a strong, fair use policy.
Mm-hmm.
Where using somebody else's IP in a different way is okay, like doujinshi culture, like we said, is alright, obviously. But straight up broadcasting or clipping bits from their media is different, and you can run into that problem with like anime or video games where they're like really rough on literally using the content, even if you remix it. And and sometimes they just don't. Like, usually there's a few companies, like, shockingly, I don't know if it's because like I ended up with somebody from EN, but I got some complaints when I used to stream Okami, where like in the cutscenes, Capcom would try and like hit for audiovisual because they're the straight up cutscenes. But usually if I appealed, they would let it go. Because obviously, like, I would say it was a live gameplay with commentary, which, transformative, that falls under the fair use, because you're doing something that doesn't harm the original work and does transform it and is substantive. Like, I'm not just copying the cutscenes. This is a thing that I'm interacting with people and back and forth. Those kinds of context clues are very important, and sometimes they're important to other things, which is hilarious, because to go back to the RE2 thing a little bit and slam a little bit, it's pretty funny that, like, I screen cap this. I full-blown called out YouTube. If you haven't seen it on our business Twitter, as it were, where, like, we got a note about RE2, like I said, right? Where they were like, we disagree with your ad assessments, that you think the violence is light. So, on YouTube, unedited gameplay footage which features violence is okay for advertisers usually. I believe the idea is that you're not trying to glorify or cut around the violence, it's just happening, okay? Yes. Like, it's part of the video game thing. Video games are marketed all the time. So the first line of here's where YouTube disagreed with you was edited gameplay footage, and I was immediately like, all right, okay. Like, this is after the appeal, so I don't get to clap back to YouTube directly, so I went to social media to clap back, and I was like, okay, alright. So clearly, whatever human reviewed this doesn't understand how live streams work, because this is literally Lucky Livestream Archive, and is not edited at all. There was no editing, okay? And I think I talked about this on Let's Talk, which got released today. I'm not afraid, like, other people, like, other creators, maybe I wouldn't, like, immediately yell about on Twitter, but I will fucking at YouTube. They're big, they can take it. So yeah, I typed in at YouTube on the thing, and I did shout out to people to show it some love, and we did get a few likes on Twitter, so that's cool. People more so than just when I like and retweet tweets as myself. People also, we've gotten a few likes on the alt thumbnail, so that's pretty funny. Okay, where were we? We were talking about remixing and stuff. I think we're out of the Gacha neighborhood.
I think so as well.
We've exhausted all that. So, well, we said we'd mention it at least. Let's talk about Cyberpunk news.
Yeah! Guess what, everyone? It's been delayed.
Again.
Even
though they were pretty sure there would be no more delays.
Even though it's already gone gold.
Yes. Well, so they clarified that in the statement.
They did.
And honestly, in the statement, it does make sense, right? Because they talked about how, hey, so we want to do the thing, we want to release it, but we're basically at a problem state where we are playtesting and quality assurancing 9 versions of the game. Because they have, like, multiple last-gen options, or this gen still, since the new gen hasn't come out. But, the current gen and the next gen options with cross-compatibility, and the fact that, obviously they're doing it for budget reasons, but I don't think Xbox did them any favors by, like, having their mini version of the Series S, the new small one, like the low power one. Like, from the way at least that CG Projekt Red talked about it, they made it sound like that was basically like testing a different version of the game, because it has different, which makes sense because it has different specs.
Yeah.
So, like, they've gone through all that, and, like, they're trying to test PC and all that stuff, so they got a lot of work to do, and they wanted to push it back to make sure, because even though it's gone gold, like, it's going to disc, this is what every video game company does these days, and they're working on their Day Zero patch to, like, catch additional bugs and filter out everything so that it has a good response day one. Because, that is the classic Miyamoto adage, a delayed game is delayed for a little bit, but a bad game is bad forever. Mm-hmm. And obviously, while this wouldn't be bad forever, right? Like, if they still released it on the daytime, they would still do this work in this patch. Mm-hmm. But it would be like a month later, probably. Or a couple weeks later, or whatever. And interestingly enough, that's what they said in their statement to, like, fans on their social media in an investor call. Not that I'm going to say these two things are mutually exclusive, but in an investor call to their investors, which is an entirely different audience, they talked about how a lot of the delay was because they want to make sure that the game plays really good day one so they can get good Metacritic scores. It's basically the same answer, it's just some of the logic is different. And honestly, I think this appeals to different levels. Like, when you're talking to investors and when you're talking at a high corporate level, yeah, of course they want good reviews. Everybody wants good reviews. Reviews are a lot of energy these days, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a big part of the business. But to the, like, creative types, obviously also they want to make sure that the players get the best product day one and then it's all compatible and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's another one of those things where, like, am I disappointed? Am I sad? Yeah, sure. But I'm not, like, pissed off. Unlike some people. Apparently some developers got death threats. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's counterproductive. If you kill a developer that cannot develop the game, it won't come out. What's wrong with you people? But also, I don't know. That's a weird thing that happens where people's first instinct is just. I think our society has gotten so hyperbolic that some people's first response is just to be like, "I'll kill you." What? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you say that? You know?
If I ever get death threats, I'm just gonna be like, I'll meet you pistols at dawn here. Be there or forever be a fucking bitch. Just call them
out. And that'll work some of the time, but then one of these days there's gonna be a news story. Local social media influencer killed in pistol duel.
Excuse me, you mean killed someone in a pistol duel, implying that I'll lose. But no, that's the thing that bugs me is no matter what, people have been fucking pissed off. Like, I saw this on Twitter. I think it was actually probably today. I don't know if I could dig it up. I'm currently looking at cute, sexy robots. How dare?
Yeah. Listen, everybody's, we can't have actual slutty Halloween costumes this year, so just every artist I know is posting something on Twitter for Halloween. Because in case you forgot earlier, we were actually recording this on Halloween. Yay.
Yes, yay. But, like, when the game comes out on time, but there's a fucking bugs, people will be all like, why the fuck did you release like this? We could have fucking waited.
But when they delay you because they're telling you they're going to do a day zero patch and patch out all the bugs and make it run smooth, you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why don't you release it already?
Exactly. So it's just like, oh my god.
Well, yeah, it's one of those classic no-wins. Like, nothing you can do will actually, like... There will always be some aspect of your audience pissed off, and I think they're doing... The delay is the right choice, like, because it will mean they will have better review scores. It means that they will have a smoother performance. It will mean that they're making sure that different versions of the game are optimized, right? Mm-hmm. So people who are probably playing like solely on last gen will have a better experience, etc. Or people who are playing with different hardware types on PC, you know. And overall, it will mean a better game experience for gamers and a better play experience for reviewers, which will mean better sales. And I honestly, like a lot of people have been talking about it, I think Cyberpunk is at almost the silver bullet stage where like there's going to be so much anticipation, and it probably will be genuinely good that reviewers are going to be like, are we going to be the guy who gives it like an 89, right? Like, you gotta think about the reaction your view base will have, because a lot of people are going to be invested in Cyberpunk, and they're not going to want it to be bad. And if you tell them it's bad, not that reviews are great about this anyway, jokes about the old 4-point scale and all that stuff, a fucking IGN review where they gave Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire a low score because there was too much fucking water, other dumb shit like that. Like, it's gonna be a big winner, I think, and like I said, I'm actually okay waiting. Like, I'm disappointed, but I'm okay. Especially because, hopefully this means I actually get a PS5 first, and I don't have to ask myself if I start it up. Because, Amazon was very fast to update me that my delivery of my pre-order wouldn't be coming until December 10th. I still don't know if I have a PS5, I just know that I do have a pre-order filed. I'm sure sometime in the next year, Amazon will get that to me, but... Will it be right away? I don't fucking know.
Well, interesting, speaking about years and stuff, a little side interesting note about this, this was actually confirmed by good old Geoff Keighley, that is because it was pushed back 3 weeks, Cyberpunk 2077 will not be eligible for this year's Game Awards. I'm just like,
ooh, that's interesting, because that means it'll basically be topping the half of next year's.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, but no, just that 3 week push.
Well, yeah, that's how it happens with awards, right? Because you gotta have enough time to consideration.
Yeah, no, I think it's like sometime it's like early November-ish.
That said,
no. It has to be like end of December-ish. I think it is.
Oh no, Death Stranding came out pretty decently timed. There were a couple of games that came out earlier that year of I think like last year's Game Awards that like were still relevant and everybody remembered, right?
Yeah, hang on.
Like I feel like Cyberpunk, if it's not going to be a complete flop, which I don't think it will be, I think people will probably possibly be disappointed by once again they'll No Man's Sky themselves and they'll put too much energy in it. But I looking at what I've seen from it, I'm like I'm going to get what I want out of this.
Oh yeah, I just need a Cyberpunk adventure, y'all.
Yeah, we're gonna do Cyberpunk stuff. We're gonna see gangs. There's gonna be a lot of customization to the look and stuff. It's gonna look nice. We're gonna get a lot of fun. We're gonna hear some sick Cyberpunk jams because they've spent a lot of this time over these like 8 years or whatever this thing's been in development. Like I think a lot of it is building vibes and like helping actually like flesh out the culture of the world of Cyberpunk 2077, right? They've done a lot of these little Night City wires, like about the cars and about the fashion styles, the music, the gangs, like done a lot of really cool stuff there, I think. And I think it's going to be immersive, I hope.
Yeah. Listen. All Lucky wants to do is run around, have a fun time, and be a fucking mil-spec cyborg ninja with unrealistic proportions, okay? And from what it sounds like, Cyberpunk might let me do that. So I'm just like, no, I'm getting my money's worth. So whatever. And honestly, like it's a 3 weeks delay. That ain't huge. It really isn't.
No, like honestly, I said it as a joke, but it literally cleared up my budget for this month. I was like, because I talked about this before. There were some Yu-Gi-Oh products. I still do that. That's a joke. But there were some products that were coming out in November, and I'm like, ooh, I don't know if my potential PS5 pre-order and making sure I got enough money, like, it'll probably be okay, but I don't want to lock anything in right away. But the moment they announced the delay, I was like, well, there's $50 I'm not spending this month. Okay, I can spend it somewhere else. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do all the budgeting. Where's this? Oh, it's way over there. Sorry. Still slowly playing Genshin Dailies in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go out to the stone forest in the middle of the lake to do something.
Like I said, am I a little sad and disappointed? Yeah, I mean, but who wouldn't be? Like, honestly. Like,
well, yeah, it's just because, like I said, hey, I was budgeting my money, I'm budgeting my time, I'm thinking about stuff, and they're just like on the one hand, like I said, it's a don't worry about it, but also it's like, okay, well, now I gotta do something different. Like, I'm actually considering, do I want to get Watch Dogs Legion? Because I think that came out fully? Yeah, it was supposed to be in October, so it's out. So, like, do I want to jump on that one right away? Do I want to save my money? Do I want to focus on other games I've got in my backlog? Because I got a few. Do I want to do other different stuff? You know? Shoot, I forgot. They mentioned it, but Lucky, what games did they announce for PS Plus this upcoming month?
I think it was Hollow Knight. It was Hollow Knight Void Edition and was it Shadow of War? I think it was Shadow of War.
Yeah, I think it was Shadow of War.
And for PS5, people will be able to get Bugsnax.
Just starting off for free. Ooh, that's a bad idea, me. I think I'm going to drown. I sprinted into the water like a dumbass.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. I think they said that the like Battle Royale All-Stars game is going to be a little delayed, possibly.
Yeah. I think that's being pushed to like maybe, what was it, February next year?
That said, like we've talked about before with the PS Plus collection, like it's weird. They're not hurting for launch titles basically because they're going to have their entire back catalog. Well, not their entire, but their entire back catalog will be accessible, but for free without needing a pre-owned copy. You can already move on to some of the best games of the generation. Somebody posted a full list sometime last week, and it was pretty good. And like definitely, I think I'm gonna take the jump to next gen to probably play some of those games, and also like get into some stuff. Like I've talked about this. I'm gonna buy the Ultimate Edition of the Spider-Man so I can get because I haven't played the original PS4 Spider-Man yet. It was always on my list to get around to.
It's a good game.
So if I can just get the sequel and then also do the thing right, like, hey, that's fine. It's fine by me. I'll pay the extra bucks. It's worth the money. It's gonna be like 2 games.
Lucky still hasn't been able to lock on a pre-order. I haven't heard anything else. And I looked. Scalpers are like selling these things for like $900 now. So I'm just like.
So actually, that was a question, but you left that conversation. I think you were offline at the time, so I didn't want to necessarily bring it back up. Are you seeing people literally scalping them right now? Like, are these actual? We have a PS5 we're selling?
No, I don't think so. No, I think it's people who are just trying to sell their pre-order.
Okay, all right. Because I was gonna say, if people are selling PS5s that are in the wild now, because there are some, those are press copies, and somebody will be in trouble.
Yeah, no.
But I have seen some unboxings. I have seen some shots. A lot of people are talking about the controller. The new DualSense is really good. I'm glad for that. Controller ergonomics are very important, kids. Also, yes, the PS5 is bigger than you think. I've seen grown men hold it, and it looks about as big as their fucking torso. It is small. It is larger than a small dog. Like, it's a big boy. It's definitely not going inside my entertainment stand. It is going to have to stand up next to it so it can breathe. Not that it apparently needs to. It's supposed to be very quiet, very cool, very slick. I love it. So yeah, hopefully we can get all that sorted out. Like, it's funny, like, I have an actual pre-order, but like I said, I don't know if Amazon will actually get it to me anytime soon, you know? You missed your pre-order, but you never know what you'll see. So yeah, it's an interesting one. Interesting times we live in. The cyberpunk thing is like I said, that's got, you know, the complexities, but like I said, I'm not mad either. I'm just a little disappointed, but it could be worse. Like, games get fucking canceled sometimes and stuff. Like, there are, I would say, worse things that could happen than a 3-week delay. And I hope that with them having gone gold, that this is the last delay, though. Like it could be a meme. Though, again, you know, I'm thinking about, like, stuff that happened, right? We went through some of this action with the 7 remake, right? Where, like, there was a lot of anticipation, but there were some delays, there were some movings, you know. Cyberpunk even moved out of the way of remake. Got a lot of action. I think. So, speaking of sound, we've talked about that earlier. I did actually get the remake soundtrack, the official soundtrack, a while ago, and I've been jamming out to it as my inspiration music a lot. In case we didn't already tell this to you, that's a lie. We did. It's really fucking good, guys. Holy shit. I wish maybe, like, some of the, because of the way, like, boss themes work, especially with, like, the different phases and stuff, there's not a lot of, like, looping. So I wish that the way the MP3s were formatted was a little better, but it's still, like, it's really good, and just, such jams. Such good jams. And a lot of just casual music in there too. Like, I like a lot of, like, I listen to a lot of the big pieces, like Midgar Expressway, Airbuster. God, Airbuster is so good. That's, like, the best version of the boss theme ever, I think. And, well, okay, I like Genova Dreamweaver, but I only mostly like the third piece. Like, the other two bits are good, but they're a little bit slower and somber. We don't hit the whatever that music note is until the final one, but I love it so much. It's so good.
Okay. Sorry, Lucky got distracted by Monster Girls. I'm back.
Okay, Monster Girls.
Are we talking about?
I was just talking about how I got the remake soundtrack and how fucking good it is.
Oh, you did get it?
So good. Yeah, I got it.
Oh, nice.
It's a good one. I've been listening to it a lot while I work on stuff. Just fire up VLC Media Player and just, like, hey, randomize. Oh, actually, though, speaking of Sony, that's another weird thing that's been happening. That Sony is apparently in final talks. They've got the right to a solo, like, first refusal or whatever to buy Crunchyroll for, like, almost $1 billion, it seems like. Wild.
Yeah. Now remember, they're not buying it from Crunchyroll. They're buying... That's probably why the numbers are so goddamn fucking huge.
Yeah, sorry, Jesus. You cut out there for a little bit, but you were talking about how they're buying it from AT&T.
Yeah. I thought it was Warner Brothers. Or is Warner Brothers under AT&T?
Warner Brothers might be AT&T. Like, AT&T might even be above them. I don't know. But yes.
Now let me fucking check.
I heard on a podcast I was watching a while ago that they're buying it from AT. They're looking to buy it from AT&T.
Actually, hang on. Who is Crunchyroll owned by? Tell me.
But yeah, so while Lucky's fact-checking that part of it, it's still a very interesting thing, right? Because Sony bought Funimation a while ago and kind of coalesced their kind of, like, anime streaming, distributing. Okay, Warner Brothers is under AT&T. So Sony went to the top.
Yeah.
And we're like, yo, dog, we want to buy that. How much you want for it?
And AT&T was like, a lot. And Sony's like, we big papa Sony, we could do that.
Yeah, so that's going to be really interesting, especially because, like I said, I still have my Funimation sub. I haven't watched anything on it yet. Listen, I've been juggling a lot of things, guys. There's a lot of gacha games right now. There's definitely stuff I want to watch, but time is weird. And I'll admit, I'm a weak man. I get distracted by hanging out with my friends. People in the community want to do stuff and want to hang out. I'm like, oh, well, I can do that. I guess it's not really that important. And sometimes you got to be like, nah, I got stuff to do, guys. But yeah, that's going to be really interesting because I haven't actually gone for Crunchyroll because I, don't know if I watch it that reliably, but I have talked about how they're in the past, some of their way they've handled ads on their free service has been a little annoying. But it'll be interesting if they ever like hybridize those. This will probably mean minimum that Funimation's properties would come back to Crunchyroll because there was a big split. Honestly, that may have been what got Sony interested in buying Crunchyroll.
Honestly, if they do this, I just hope. What I hope they do is they just put all the fucking dubs on Funimation and all the subs on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, I hope they work out a good way to split. Like make Crunchyroll for simuldubs and then or simulcasts, and then you can put simuldubs and other cool features through Funimation because they are doing the licensing and like don't make it this weird fight about your sources and where shit goes.
Yeah.
And ideally, if you could basically work out a plan so I can pay a not too high fee for access to both libraries at once. Like, I'm not gonna go so crazy that I'm gonna be like, oh, well, I'm already paying for Funimation Premium, you should just grandfather me into Crunch. Like, I know they're probably not gonna do that because they're two different services with different libraries, even if they combine them in some way. Like, they'll probably do something. But, like, I hope that they can make that more convenient. That's a really... Like I've talked about, the fucking spread of stuff is really annoying. Like, I'm a little agita about HBO Max because I feel like every time I want to watch a fucking movie, it's only available to stream through HBO Max, and I'm like, I don't know if I really want to rent, like, Batman Begins for, like, $2 on YouTube right now. I'm just like, man, I should have bought a DVD earlier. Fuck, almost at this point, buying DVDs for some of this shit might be cheaper. Straight up DVDs, by the way, not Blu-rays. Blu-rays are not cheap. But yeah, that I hope that they do stuff with. Like, obviously, the really cool thing would be if they could, like, hey, what if you have PS Plus, you can get, like, a discount or an integration or something there. Like, truly unify all their media arms, But they don't really do that already, and I don't know if they're going to try. But definitely, like, if they did a service bundle, that would be cool. Like, if you could get your PS Plus, get your anime streaming, and maybe get some other streaming stuff in there. Like, they could do some action with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's some... We live in interesting times, once again. I'm not shocked that, like, Sony's doing some of these pushes and stuff, because this is a big year for streaming.
Oh, yeah.
And...
Honestly, and again, I would say, if they actually, like, clean this up a little bit, I'm not necessarily against a monopoly on anime streaming.
No, especially because we are, like we said, we've complained about how, like, okay, monopolies can be abusive if they're, like, anti-competition, but at the same time, there is something truly convenient about having a one-stop shop.
Yes.
Like, Netflix used to be that, but then other people's realized that Netflix was cool and tried to make their own Netflix, and now, like I said, like, on Netflix, it's hard to find just movies. Like, usually movies are on, like, HBO Max, or they're on their own internal, like, Disney Plus thing. Mm-hmm. And heck, I don't mind having a Disney Plus. It's, I can watch The Mandalorian or Clone Wars. If I really wanted to, I could watch. Like, I haven't actually sat down and watched it, but I've got The Great Mouse Detective queued up. Loved that movie as a kid. You can just fire that in. Shoot, it's still not, Halloween's still not over. I could still watch Hocus Pocus on Disney Plus.
That's a classic.
That's a fun one. Yeah, I like Hocus Pocus. They got a lot of old Disney Channel original movies, which you probably remember as a kid.
Oh, God.
Of various qualities. Like, I think they got the whole Halloween Town trilogy on Disney Plus. They got a lot of shit. Architects definitely posted an important image.
Yeah.
Netflix I think Netflix tried to bite into the piracy thing, and it worked because people were just like, fuck, just buy Netflix. And then it was like, oh shit, everybody's got it. What the fuck do we do? And like some of the splits are okay. Like Amazon Prime, yeah, sure, whatever. Who doesn't have an Amazon Prime these days? It's really, really good just for purposes of getting your shit fast. Let alone, actually doing, like watching video and stuff. And they got some good stuff on there. I really do like the Bosch series that Amazon Prime has. But I like police procedurals. It's cool. But streaming's been doing really good, and I think it's interesting to see people kind of get into this market and, go forward. Like, I bet, while I don't like all the decisions they've done with Disney Plus and what they've put on it, I have thoughts and feelings about, A, the fact that they do all these live-action remakes, and B, some of the political buzz around Mulan, for lack of a better word. But, like, obviously it's a smart move of Disney. Like, they've gotten a lot of success introducing Disney Plus late last year, before they could have known this crisis was coming, right? Like, it hadn't happened yet. And it turned out to be a really good investment. Though some of these don't pan out. What was it? That weird short video service, Quibi? I don't remember who the fuck was behind that. Well, it imploded. Like, it's done. They're gonna wind down and shut off. Not that I feel too bad. I found out that their executive was, I believe it was Katzenberger, who did the split from Disney into DreamWorks, and in generally is considered kind of a petty douchebag. And I'm just like, I don't feel bad for him. Maybe feel bad for some of the talent they roped into this, but I don't feel bad for him as a person. That happens sometimes.
It happens, it does.
But yeah, we're in an interesting case where we got to collapse down. Though sometimes Netflix does pick stuff back up. Like, actually, shockingly, I don't have YouTube Premium, guys. But Netflix got the Cobra Kai series that was only on YouTube Premium for a while, and are apparently funding it for more seasons. I got to catch up on that.
Oh, neat.
That's the TV show that's kind of a sequel to the first Karate Kid movie. So that's really focusing on kind of what happened to the Cobra Kai gym after some years. So that sounds like an interesting concept, and I've heard a lot of people talk a lot of good stuff about it. But hey, guess what? While YouTube has tried, YouTube Premium, like original TV, was a little weird. Like, I think some of their concepts were good. Like, I haven't seen it because I think it's still only premium, but their idea of shows like Scare PewDiePie or some of the other OG stuff they did, where, like, they give YouTubers and people on brand, like, big budgets, right? That was a cool move. Legit just doing fucking TV. Weird. Wild. Wacky. Even though I know they have a TV service. And even some of the stuff they did, they put on, like, public. Like, was it Planet Slow-Mo or Slow-Mo Show? I think it was both. Slow-Mo Guys, which is partially run by Gavin Free, also of Rooster Teeth. Like, YouTube gave him a lot of money to shoot a lot of stuff in slow motion as just, like, a semi-educational fun show. And, like, that's just really cool. Just hand him a budget. I hope we are one day so big that we can get a budget to just do random shit. We probably need a more distinct gimmick, though.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing we could do right now with a budget is do more gacha roll videos.
Oh, God, no.
Okay. But that was a couple of big newses. There was one more thing I think I wanted to circle around to, but other than that, do you got anything else you want to talk about, Lucky?
Nah.
Okay. Then I will briefly, as a concept, I will throw something out there. So, Spook Month is going to be over by the time this is all public, and by the time my next stream day rolls around. I'm not averse to Vampire. Like, I've been having some fun doing some interesting things. Just fully embracing the joke about, it's time to do some vampire science. Like, I've had a lot of fun with it. I will possibly keep playing it in my downtime, whenever that is. But I don't know if it'll be appropriate to still stream it. Like, the second stream didn't do so hot in views and stuff. So I'm looking for ideas. Like, we could go back to a children's card game where I can yell more. That might bring in the people. Or I could go back to Final Fantasy 12 to kind of wait that one out. You know, because I'm in the middle of a run-through, and I love that game a lot. And we built up a fairly dedicated watch base to do it. And that's a game that, even though it's a big fucking JRPG, I've played enough times that I can run it through pretty easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also I have other ideas. Like I said, I watched Team 4-Star stream a lot of Civ, and if you guys would be interested in that kind of thing, that is definitely the kind of stream I could kill a lot of hours on. I don't know how I'd format it, because usually those games are full screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know. Can you make them windowed? Probably. But they're a little weird. But in addition to already owning Civ 5, which I reinstalled. Oh, you go ahead and you scheduled it. Cool.
Well, no, I fucked up. I didn't actually put the proper time. Fuck.
Rip. You can fix it, at least, I think.
Well, yeah, I got it.
Luckily, scheduling his next stream. Which is
Yes.
kind of why I wanted to be like, if we can get out of here, we can get out of here, because I know you want to do that. But I also bought an old favorite of mine that I realized is finally on Steam, Call to Power 2, which is technically Civilization Call to Power 2. This was a spin-off made by Activision that they lost the rights to call it Civilization after the first game. It's old, so it's like mostly sprite-based and stuff, but it was a game I played a lot as a kid, the original one. And they did do some small improvements to the sequel, though it is a little buggy. Like, it does not... It has internal music. It does not play that very well. I haven't ever heard it play music good. But, which is sad, because the original Civilization Call to Power had some jams. Love that music. Anyway, but that's a game that I kind of know the ins and out of a lot better, and is a lot simpler to run, and would probably not explode anything streaming it. But obviously it would be older and weirder. But the reason why I like the Call to Power series is that I know that some of the more recent Civs have gotten a little more near future with some of their tech lines, but I also know a lot of them classically end at, like, the space age, right?
Mhm.
Usually they leave the true sci-fi shit for stuff like Alpha Centauri, Beyond Earth, etc. Cult of Power did not do that. In Cult of Power, the space age was a full-blown age of the game where you were like doing nanotechnology cloning, like you could divine nanite bombs, and you would build space colonies and sea colonies. Like there was a space layer. You could shoot cities up into space and have space-based tech and cities, and fucking do orbital drops on your opponents and shit like that. And like its space win condition was not go to space. It was go to space, open a wormhole, clone a fucking alien. like they had a whole thing that was interesting. So that's what I really liked about it, because it really got into that technology speculation stuff that I like. Like you know how in those games you can build like maybe like a regular factory, and then maybe you can build like a robotic factory that's more efficient.
Mhm.
Well, in Cult of Power, you could also go one step beyond. You could build a nanite factory, which just is a fucking replicator and you know, produces things that way. Like, it had a lot of, like, the same near or far future sci-fi shit that, like, Alpha Centauri did, with, like, the wonders and things you could build. Very interesting. I liked it a lot. So, let me know if you guys want to see any of that RTS action on streams. Otherwise, like I said, I'll come up with something else on Tuesday. And, alright. Well, I think if that's everything, this episode is almost... Hold on, let me pull up the clock. About 2:45. That's a pretty good number. We could cut it off here.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Like, sorry, I just have, like, nothing to add to, like...
No, that's fair. Like I said, that was just a little throw-out thing I wanted to throw out there at the end. See responses. Because we did get a decent amount of commentary from people about some of our latest comments and things, even on some of our new stuff.
Mhm.
You know? It'll be interesting to see what happens. I do definitely want to... especially because you talked about it, Lucky, or rather, we talked about it in total. I'm definitely like, you're right. I don't want to necessarily go full blast and like make a shitload of videos and throw them out all at once, right? Like you got to pace them out.
Mhm.
So I got a few things in a hopper I want to try. So I'm not ready to give up on some of these ideas yet, but some of them do get some kind of like middling reception. But again, I don't know if YouTube is just being weird to us.
I don't know. They might have our number.
They might have got us. Though I don't know. I think honestly, forcing us to be clever and changing the thumbnail might have worked, because that episode of Let's Talk FGO is doing very well right now. Like it's topping our charts. It's shooting up.
Pew!
Doing good work. Getting a lot of comments. And like in some ways the joke aspect of it is almost more eye-catching than actually just posting that Carmilla image, which somebody asked for the source of that is, so I think I gotta link them to that Imgur account.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're going to wrap up with... Oh, excuse me, I got very burpy at the end. Of course I did. We're going to wrap up What's Up Now. Deep breaths. So, hey, if you like this episode and you're watching on YouTube, be sure to give it a like. If you have any comments, leave in the comment section down below. You can also hit up our Discord. The link is, as always, in the description or on our channel page. We do stuff there. Hang out with people, do things. Who knows, maybe I'll decide to start off the month strong and do some Among Us.
Powerful.
Or other stuff. I actually bought a Steam version of a game I wanted to try in Tabletop Simulator. I should try out both versions with people, see if I can get some people interested. Anyway, thoughts for later. Comments in the Discord if you're interested in things like that. And, of course, if you're new here and haven't already, please subscribe to our channel so you can always get our latest videos. And even if you're already subscribed, consider hitting that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video, when we stream. Like if Lucky decides to stream on a Saturday, for instance. How would you know? How could you plan for that? You can't. That's why you need to turn on notifications right now. Click that bell. You can also join our channel memberships. We will have membership badges sometime. I'm sure Lucky will get Agita and freak out and design like 50 of them, even though we only need 6. Maybe not 50, but I could definitely see you accidentally overextending.
No, I totally, I trust me, the design's in my head. It's just getting it out on the fucking canvas.
God, I know that one.
Yeah.
But if you sign up for more memberships, we can do more emotes. Like, possibly we could turn Mail Bunny into an emote. We need more slots. We're still full up, guys. Join now. And, of course, like it said at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to this episode in audio format early for as little as $1 a month or $10 a year. You can get access to polls. We're actually going to be running at least one extra poll this month to try out a new segment on Let's Talk FGO, so check that out at our 5 and up level. And you can listen to shows live and lots of other goodies. And remember, the annual membership thing, I say the $10 a year because that's a convenient number, but that you can annually membership to any levels if you want, for a slight discount. Okay, well, I think that's everything. We will see you guys next week for more What's Up. If you haven't already, be sure to check out the episode of Let's Talk FGO that already came out, and stay tuned for more APs, more streams, more other videos we'll do. And just, we'll see you around. All right. I think that's goodbye, everybody.
Lucky out.